911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man or something. It looks like a man. I don't know what it was. Just it ran across the yard.
It seems to be a Bigfoot leaning against a tree in a wooded area.
I have seen plenty of people with big feet, but not Bigfoot.
Tree lines and brush, he sees about a 7 and 7.5 foot tall Sasquatch looking back at him.
Kind of looks like a wolf, but not like a neighborhood dog.
Take these stories for what they are in hopes that maybe if it's out there, then show me.
Yeah.
And says he might have caught the mythical chupacabra creature terrorizing his chickens.
Like a grunt and a knock. It's like a...
I think there's kind of a cultural tendency for people to want to make Bigfoot a quote-unquote monster.
Welcome to ECBRO Bigfoot Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome to ECBR Bigfoot Radio. I'm your host, Daniel Benoit. I'm glad that you could join us again. And tonight we have an awesome guest with us. Joining us tonight is Mr. Ryan Tremblay. We're going to get right into this very soon. But, ladies and gentlemen, something new I want to start doing here. There's two offers I want to present to you right off the bat. We'll be doing this with a couple of other different offers periodically on other episodes. Two authors I have right off the top of my head that I want to promote their latest books. Right now, both of these gentlemen, you will be able to find and meet them at the ECBRO Annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference in June. The first individual I want to talk about real briefly is author Mike Dupler. His latest book is called Bigfoot Origins, Search for the Cryptid Homeland. So he has authored several books along the way. This is his latest book right here. I've only touched a small part of it, so I'm not going to get into explaining really what it dives into. Basically, the title itself really speaks for itself, which he actually presents a different side and a different view based off of some of the theories that do flood the whole Bigfoot and cryptid world. But this is one of his latest books. Again, if you want to meet him and check out his book, you'll be able to get a signed autographed copy come June. So feel free to check that out. Another book by one of our guest speakers this year, Maxim Furyk. Mr. Maxim Furyk, his latest book is called The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. So, and the other thing is, if you don't want to buy, if you're not patient enough to wait till the conference, you can buy these books online. Amazon has these books. Bigfoot Origins, Search for the Cryptid Homelands by Mike Dupler, and Lost Tribes of Bigfoot by Maxim Furyk. You can find these both on Amazon. Also, again, if you want to meet these individuals, they will be at the annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference in June, right here in Virginia. So more information about that, you can go to vabigfootcon.com. It's happening June 20th and June 21st. So be there or be square. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. First of all, I want to welcome Ryan Tremblay to the show tonight. He's our guest. And also we have Mr. David Lester and Melissa Lester joining us, and we're glad to have them again. We're going to have a great discussion. I think we're going to learn a lot about Ryan and his experiences, and then we'll kind of get into a few things here and there in between. Ryan, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing extremely well, man. I'm winding down finally. I just finished off my Wendigo book that I've been writing for the past year and a half. So that was a nice load off my shoulders, but I'm getting ready to start my Yi Nararushi book, the book about the skinwalkers. So that's going to be another big chore. Yeah.
So, okay. So now forgive me. Maybe I should have known this. First of all, have you written other books before?
No, these are actually my first books. So I wasn't going to write books, but everybody started telling me, yo, you know so much about the Wendigo and the skinwalkers. Why not put them in a book and spread that information? So I was like, okay, you know what? I think I will do that. So that's how it led to me writing books. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So here we are. Here I was just promoting a couple of the authors that I know. And here we got a new author in the works right now, working on his content. That's awesome. So, you got to be sure to make sure when they're completely done and published, you'll have to share the content with me so I can promote it. I love promoting people.
Oh, absolutely. So. Absolutely. I have a short list of people that are going to get autographed copies, so I'll add your name to that list.
Very awesome. Mr. Oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart remembering his name. There's a gentleman. He lives up on the East Coast, northern East Coast. Kenneth. Oh man, I can't believe it. No, not that one. Kenny. He just put out a new book himself. Yeah, he features so many different Bigfoot researchers in this new book, and he's actually sending me a copy because he did a article or not an article, but a chapter on me.
Very cool.
Yeah, I can't believe I should have wrote this down. It just popped up in my head. I hate when you can't remember names, but he's been involved with this for quite some time. I was actually working on getting him to be one of my speakers here in the near future. And
is it Kenneth Roper?
No. It's got his Facebook name. It's kind of a long name.
Okay. I probably don't know him then.
It's Kenny something. Yeah, he really adds a long name to it. It's Kenny something.
The cryptopathologist.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Kenny the cryptopathologist. Yes. Yep. He is awesome. Yeah.
He is a great guy. He knows his stuff too.
Yeah, so his latest book, and do you know, I'm sorry, again, forgive me for not remembering the name of it, but are you familiar with his new book?
Yes.
So that new book there.
Right now, but I'm familiar.
Yes, I believe it has something to do with the Tales of the Chronicles or something to do with other researchers or those involved with the whole Bigfoot and cryptid research. And
yes.
So, yeah. You know who else did something very similar referring to other Bigfooters and cryptid researchers involved was, I believe his name was Tim Halloran or Halloran. He was actually he did a book called the Bigfoot Influencers or something along those lines. He did something very similar. So I think it's cool that these authors are doing stuff because they want people to get more familiar with those that are involved with the research, So
I think that's a great idea because there's so many hard workers out there that just don't get enough credit.
Well, I'm going to tell you, like when Kenny got me involved and came at me about when he was still working on his book, I felt very honored. Like, okay, I feel like I'm a small fish in a big pond. So it was kind of exciting that he came to ask me about it. So I felt like, okay, this is awesome. That he considered me as. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many others he got involved with. I don't know who all the others are, but just for the fact that he had asked me, dude, this is awesome. I was like, yeah, of course I'll participate because, I mean, this is like. My biggest thing is, and everybody, Melissa and David know I repeat this all the time, but I believe in spreading awareness and any little bit of information about me or my research. If the word could get out there, that's great. I'm not trying to convince anybody about my beliefs and my conclusions on subjects and topics, but I want people to know where I stand, regardless if it's accurate or not. So, but
hey, Daniel, do you know if do you know if Dale's going to have any books at the
yes.
Bigfoot Con coming up? Is he going to have any there himself?
Oh yeah, Dale Thacker. For those who are following, Dale Thacker will be presenting Friday, June 20th. His book, Tales of a Bear Hunter. Now he mentioned to me, and I don't know this for sure. Well, he doesn't know for sure, but he thinks he may have a second book that he will have out by then. But he does plan on having copies of his books because he originally, when he came at me, he did mention that he will have his books. He wanted a booth to set up and to sell his books. So I said, yes, absolutely. Yeah, so he will have his books with him. And again, possibly a second book that he's working on. He hasn't put out publicly yet, but he's hoping to have it done and ready before that. So
cool.
So yeah. I always love having offers. Saturday? Oh no, he can't be. He won't be there Saturday. He said he's got to work, so which I understand, But because I mean that's too bad because that's a little closer to him. I mean he lives down in he's not too far from Roanoke, but he lives north of Roanoke. I have a general idea exactly where he lives. I forget the name of that area, but yeah, like I said, it would only be maybe an hour ride for him, I'm guessing. Because I mean, from where I live down to where we're going Saturday, yeah, it's only going to take me an hour to get there. So I would leave here no later than 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it goes about an hour too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because you guys are probably close. I mean, the highway is real close to you. I mean, it's for me. I would have to either go out towards Ware's Cave and jump on the highway that way, or go somewhere out towards Waynesboro and jump on the highway that way. But yeah, because like I said, when I put in the maps, it's showing about an hour drive for me. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, talk about that. I know we're kind of switching gears here real quick, but since you brought that up, I have I've had others ask me, you know, how many people you're expecting to show up there. I say, I have no idea, but I know I've been sharing it in all the local groups, the Facebook groups that work there. Like for example, there's a Lexington and Buena Vista Facebook group, you know, and Rockbridge County group. And so a lot of those groups are I mean, I've shared the flyer in there, and so a lot of the locals are seeing it because I get people tagging other people in the posts and everything. So we may have some extra show up. So I mean, you know, the more the merrier, because you know, I just basically want, you know, if we get enough people there, I mean, I'll do a small talk and little presentation, kind of introduce myself, and you know, and you guys, and just kind of let them know what we're doing there, and we hope that maybe we'll get some stories. I mean, I would hope or love to get some stories from some of the locals if they have any and are willing to share. So it would be something to make note and document, you know. And who knows? I might get some new radio podcast guests.
You never know.
But, yeah, because I mean, there's a couple of locals I got from up here. I'm still waiting. Like the one girl I spoke to at the bank, her fiance reached out to me, and you know, I finally got a second email from him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll be more than glad to talk about it on a podcast." Because he mentioned to me that he has done that once before with somebody, and I didn't know who the individual was, but so now I'm waiting on to hear back from him again, because I asked him. I said, well, okay, well, what would be a good day for you? Because I mean, I told him, I said I normally do them around 8 p.m. You know, and whatever. So I'm waiting for him to get back. Now, I don't know his schedule or what he does. All I know is his fiance at the bank, because I talked to her again not long ago. She said, yeah, he does classes. He takes classes, so the schedule might be kind of weird and funky. So I don't know. Apparently, he doesn't look at his email too much. So,
well, Ryan, where are you located at? Where do you live?
I'm in Sierra Vista, Arizona.
Arizona, okay.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen you on a few other podcasts in the past. I can't remember. You've been on Jessica's podcast before?
Yep, I sure have. And I've been on things like, you know, Paranormal Portal, Paranormal Odyssey. I've done so many that I can't even remember all the names of them. No offense to anybody out there.
Yeah, we've seen you on several, but I can't keep them straight either. There's so many going on back and forth and whatnot.
Yep.
We
I know how that goes.
Some of the stuff you've been involved with, which is interested to hear more. So,
Absolutely. Well, Ryan, I was wondering if you could give us a little bit of background about yourself. Like, how long have you been involved, and what got you involved into all this?
Well, I've been involved in cryptozoology for 20 plus years now. I started when I was a really young kid. And what really pulled me into it is I used to watch monster movies with my brothers and my dad. Universal Monsters, the Hammer films, those were all a daily staple for our young Ryan's diet, okay? So we were watching these on a daily basis, nightly basis. And then I started getting into things like Godzilla. So, you know, when you see monsters like Sanda and Gyra, the Gargantuas, a young mind goes, ooh, I wonder if these monsters are real. Well, my dad sat me down when I was about 7 years old. He showed me the Patterson-Gimlin film, okay? Now, I know there's a lot of debate about that film. People say it's real. Some people say it's fake. But for me, that was like, oh, my gosh, it's a Bigfoot. And I was hooked. From that moment on, I was absolutely obsessed with Bigfoot. And since my dad, he was a Cajun guy. So he started telling me tales about the Rougarou and, you know, vampires, things like that. So right from a young age, I was just obsessed with monsters.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I think. I mean, I think I can speak for most of us. Yeah, you mentioned Godzilla, among other things, like even the Wolfman movies and stuff. Like I grew up with a lot of that stuff myself. I'm sure David, Melissa, you guys are well familiar with a lot of that stuff. So, yeah, it's always been intriguing. Of course, what we grew up with from a young age versus what they put out now. I don't know. Some of the stuff I can question some of the stuff they put out now.
Oh, I do too. But I mean, when my dad used to tell me stories about the Rougarou, I used to think at first that they were just campfire tales. So when I used to go out and play in the woods, my dad would tell me, "Hey, be careful that the wood boogers don't get you." And at first I thought, "Oh, he's just being whimsical. He's just trying to be a dad and scare me." But once I learned what wood boogers were, then I'm like, "Oh my God, my dad was really trying to scare me here. There are things in these woods." So yeah, I was obsessed, Daniel. Monsters, anything monsters, I was consuming on a daily basis.
Right. Now you mentioned wood boog. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That led to where I am, and I started looking into things like the indigenous folklore, because when we moved to Arizona, I was hearing from different indigenous people how they had their own tales of Bigfoot. So, that started pulling me in more and more and more.
Nice. So, quick question. Now, I'm just curious to get your take on this. Now, you mentioned wood boogers.
Yes.
What would be your definition of wood boogers? Because there's a reason why I'm asking all this. So.
Well, from how my dad described them, he used to tell me that they were kind of like chimp-like, and they had a really nasty attitude that if they caught you, they were going to chase you out. So I kind of pictured it looking like the Bigfoot in the Patterson-Gimlin film. Really tall, really broad shoulders. So to me, a wood booger was a Bigfoot, essentially.
Oh, okay. No, that's fair, because I didn't know if you had a different view on the definition of wood booger. The reason I'm bringing that up, because here in the state of Virginia, more or less down towards the southwestern parts of Virginia. What's the name of the area? Anyway, I can't think of it. It begins with an N. But Virginia surnamed Bigfoot the wood booger. So I didn't know if it was if that was heard of or mentioned or suggested elsewhere. But I know it from the Bigfoot history in Virginia. Yeah, the wood booger was actually the Virginia's Bigfoot,
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah. So that's very cool. I didn't know if that was. I didn't know if you were relating to a Bigfoot or something entirely different. So
no. In my head, it was always Bigfoot. And when we lived in Massachusetts originally, I used to go out and play in the woods. Every day I just go disappear in the woods for a couple of hours. And now I realize that I heard things back there that might have been a wood booger. So I'm just kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm obsessed with this stuff now.
Wow. Okay. Another random question. How long did you live in Massachusetts?
For 10 years. 10 years straight.
Okay. What part of Massachusetts?
Oh, gosh. I lived in Southbridge, Massachusetts. I've been to Boston, Worcester, Webster, Dudley. I lived in Connecticut for a short time. So everywhere I went, there was always woods around me, So I think that was nature's way or the universe's way of saying, hey, Ryan, you belong in the woods, dude.
I lived right outside of Worcester in Douglas, Massachusetts, East Douglas, Mass. That's where I'm from.
Oh, so we might have been neighbors at some point, Daniel. That's crazy.
That's possible. I mean, I lived off the street I lived in Douglas was called Southeast Main Street. It was just a few houses surrounded by woods. Nowadays, you go up there, you won't even recognize the area. It's all grown up with houses and subdivisions now.
So much has changed, man. Yeah, it's nuts.
Wow. You don't mind me asking, how old are you, Ryan?
I am 45, and that's a reminder of how old I'm getting. So thank you very much.
Oh, no. I'll be 45 in March. So, okay. I feel
like how old I am.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel. Hey, Ryan, I got a question here.
Go ahead.
Aside from movies and stuff growing up and whatnot with your dad and what he was telling you, have you had any actual cryptid or paranormal type encounters or situations that cemented your thought process now why you took the direction you've taken as far as getting into writing books and research?
Yes. One thing that really pulled me into this heavily was a dogman encounter here in Arizona. At first, I did not believe in the dogman. My friend Dakota would tell me about these dogman stories all the time. And I just kind of laugh at him, go, come on, dude, an upright raccoon, get out of here. But it happened, fate played its role where one day I was house sitting for my friend and his wife while they were out of town. I went to go do a midnight checkup because I did a routine of morning, afternoon, and then midnight would be the last one. So, I make sure everything was locked up. So I went here about midnight, and as I was walking up, I noticed the coyotes around here were going nuts. I mean, they sounded nervous. They were chittering, they were barking, they were crying and whining. And at first, I didn't really think anything of it. I was kind of like, maybe they're hunting or whatever. But then I started smelling something that was just so obnoxious. I mean, when I say something smelled obnoxious, I mean terrible. My eyes were watering. I felt like I could taste the smell. You guys ever taste anything so bad that you feel like you tasted it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So as I got there, I'm going, God, did something die? What, did they kill something? Good grief. So anyway, I went along the side of the house because he had a side entrance that led to the gate of his backyard. As I was walking through, it was complete dark back there. You couldn't see anything at first. I heard something moving. Okay. And I'm going, oh, great. He's got an animal in his backyard, or there's a homeless dude back here. I'm going to have to beat up and get off his property. Here we go. So I walk into his backyard and I hear something like scratching at the ground. I hear the rocks going. And I get back there and I'm standing there by myself. So I go, hey, to try to scare anybody off. Okay. There's nothing at first. So it goes quiet for a minute. Even the coyotes stopped. I move forward a little bit more. I hear the sounds again. And I look and I can see something moving in the shadows. You know how when there's somebody hiding in the dark, they seem darker than the shadows. And you can kind of tell they're there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I saw. So I thought, human. I thought this was a person because it looked like it was on two legs. So I'm only 5'10" and a half, and I think I was like 123 pounds at the time. So I puff up like that little puffer fish, and I'll go, hey! This time I hear this really, really deep growl that comes back. And I mean, this growl was like, I could feel it going through my chest, rattling my bones, so I'm going, oh, crap. At first, I think it's a mountain lion because we do have mountain lions in Arizona, right? And as I go forward to check it out, the security lights pop on. And when those security lights went on, it wasn't a mountain lion, a bear, or a human that I was looking at. There was a hyena face looking right back at me. And it looked just like a hyena, except for one problem. This thing was actually sitting on its knuckles. So it had its hind legs folded behind it, and it's balancing on the knuckles of its fingers. And it sees me, I see it, and we're just staring at each other, okay? I'm not moving because I know when there's a predator, the worst thing you can do is run because you become prey. So I'm just standing there going, what the hell is this thing? Why am I looking at a hyena in my friend's backyard? This thing lunges forward and it runs and stops on a dime. So it did a bluff charge where it stopped just like that. And it continues to stare at me. I can see its head tilting side to side. Its ears are going up and down. And then finally it starts to stand up. So I hear this loud pop as it reaches up to go grab a branch. And so we're just staring at each other. We're not moving. It's not coming at me anymore. And I'm standing there going, what am I looking at? What is this thing? I have never seen anything like this. What could it be? So we spent maybe like 2-3 minutes staring at one another till this thing finally turned around and walked away. And the minute it was gone down that hill, Daniel, I had rockets in my butt, bro. I took up off those stairs and I just slammed all his doors. I'm locking his doors, bolting his windows. I called my buddy up and I'm like, hey, you warned me there's a hyena in your backyard. And my friend thinks I'm crazy. He's sitting there going, a hyena in Arizona, Ryan? Come on, dude. You worked at the zoo. There's no hyenas in Arizona. And I'm telling him, no, I saw a hyena in your backyard. This thing stood up and stared at me, dude. There was a hyena in your backyard. So the next day he came home and his wife actually told me, it wasn't a hyena that you saw, Ryan. You need to look into Linda Godfrey's books because a lot of people described exactly what you saw. So that right there, I was like, oh my God. Once I started reading her books, I realized, holy crap, this dogman thing is real. And I saw one of these dogmen. So I became obsessed with the whole subject.
What size would you say it was? Approximately how tall from what you could tell and weight maybe?
When it stood up on two legs, I'd say maybe 6.5 feet, maybe, because I'm 5'10" and a half. So it was about a foot over me. So about 6.5 feet tall. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a tall boy, but it wasn't muscular. Daniel, you're probably familiar with this, but a lot of people that see dogmen nowadays describe almost the bodybuilder kind of body frame where they got the huge muscles, the huge arms. Mine wasn't like that. The one that I saw, I compare him more to a basketball player. He was very lean. He had muscle, but it was that lean kind of muscle.
Right. Kind of tall and slanky, but yet conditioned. Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't overly built. You know, he wasn't built like
Yeah.
a brick house, but you know, he had more muscle than I did, so I didn't want to try to challenge this thing.
Right. Now, for me, to be completely honest with you, I'm not denying what you're sharing here, because when it comes to the whole dogman phenomenon, I mean, in my complete honesty, I've always been a non-believer in that, but I want to believe it. I really do. I want to believe that, because you know, like you, I believe you're seeing what you said you saw. It's just, even though so therefore I'm not calling you a liar at all. It's just me. I'm one of those extreme skeptics when it comes to, because it's
I share that sentiment. In fact, I look for other alternatives. Me and my friend Kenny Thibodeau, along with Robert Prevost, we actually looked into other possibilities, like maybe it was a relic species from a ancient hyena type or something along those lines, because hyenas aren't even canines. Okay. So whatever I saw was hyena-like. So I can't say it was a dog man, because it's not a dog. So that scientific part of my brain's going, well, if it's not a canine, you can't say it's a dog man. You know, it's something else. But it fits the description of what other people are seeing too. So I'm kind of caught on the fence here.
Right. I get what you're saying. I mean, you saw something that clearly defines or appears to be canine-like. So, because I mean,
the dog man has history too, just like Bigfoot does.
Right.
I mean, it goes back, for many years in different cultures also. And
it does.
My thought process is, when people start talking about any part of the cryptid aspect, I'm one that's got to keep an open mind, because you got Bigfoot competing against Dogman. You got Dogman competing against Lizardman, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you get these different groups. Well, they'll lean more towards this way than the other way, but not everybody's crazy. People see something that they can't explain, and they try to describe it the best they can, or the encounter that they had.
Sure. Sure.
I got an open mind towards that too, because that's
I do as well, but you do have to have that skepticism though. There has to be that healthy dose of skepticism, so you don't fall for anything. Have an open mind, but not so open that your brains leak out.
Yep.
Right. So I mean, I guess on my part, I want to believe on that. Now, when it comes to Bigfoot, I'm not just a believer; I'm a knower. I have my experiences, and then I found the evidence, to back it up. But like the dogman thing, just the way people. Here's my thing, because we're all of us here on the panel. We're all on social media, and we all we belong to a lot of these Bigfoot and cryptid groups. For the longest time, I was actually on one of the dogman groups, because hey, if there's evidence out there, if people are finding stuff, I need to see it for myself. Because again, I want to believe. But my biggest thing is, and for those who don't know me, I'm a wildlife and Bigfoot researcher. I look at wildlife before I come to any conclusions towards Bigfoot.
Right.
So with that being said, with a lot of the evidence that I have seen on these dogman groups, people are posting pictures of feline tracks, again, feline, cat tracks, and trying to claim them as dogman tracks. And so that's where, so that's where my phrase that I share, it's on my Facebook, learn and know what is known before seeking the unknown.
Yes.
Learn your wildlife, learn what does exist. Yeah. So that's where I have a hard time, okay, so I don't know the history. I haven't really dived too much into the history of the dogman phenomenon, except for the only little bit of history that I know from what I found. A lot of the stories originated out of Michigan. And the story that I found from Michigan supposedly came from a campfire story that turned into a song, and then stories started being spread out, and then the legend was born from there. I'm sure there's something more that dates back a lot more than and this came from the early 1980s or maybe 70s.
There is, though. That's kind of what got me really into the dogman phenomena, though, Daniel, is the Cherokee actually have a oral tradition where they talk about the Ulanga Doglala. Okay. And they describe this as a bipedal wolf-like creature that its breath is rancid. You can smell its breath from miles away. Its red eyes glow in the dark, and it hunts, the hunters and the women and the children. So they fear this thing. And a lot of people will cite that as solid proof that the Dogman's real, but they don't look into the whole Cherokee legend, though, because in Cherokee legend, the Oolanga can actually change shape. So it can go from a bipedal wolf into a zombie-like human. Okay, so you can't cite that as solid concrete proof that Dogman is real, but it does give you something to examine closer.
Okay. Now, in my own private personal folklore, I hunt women. Now, let me stop. So, I mean, I usually take them to my camp out for Bigfoot bait, but that's about it. Let me stop.
Yeah, I used to hunt until I got the cops knocking on my door. Then I was like, yeah, I won't hunt women anymore. Sorry.
Oh, I had to throw that out there. I'm sorry. I'm a goof.
Hey, levity's a good thing, Daniel. Levity's a good thing.
Absolutely. So yeah. I personally have not really dived into the whole Dogman thing. Because with that being said, when I'm out in the woods, I'm always watching the ground. I really am, because that's how I feel like I've been successful at finding a lot of the tracks in the past that I have come across and we were able to make casts of. But as far as looking for anything that stands out, otherwise, I have yet to really find anything that really suggests, just here in Virginia alone. And then I can even speak for the short times I've been up in Pennsylvania. But I really would love to find some evidence out here, because there's been claims that people say that supposedly the Dogman is out here on the East Coast, but I would love to find evidence of such.
If you talk to people online, they'll tell you that Dogmen are everywhere, which I guess is possible. But if they were everywhere, though, we'd find some kind of solid evidence by now. That's my hang up right there is, any tracks that we see, like you said, they're usually feline, or they're, rabbits that jumped in the snow. And really, really odd. It looks strange. So to people, it's like, oh, that's a Dogman. And you're looking at it going, but no, it's got 3 toes and it's like the size of your head. How is that a Dogman?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look, for example, talk about tracks in the snow. Have you ever looked at enough deer tracks that walk in the snow? And we know deer tracks have the split hoof, and they're sharp and pointy at the tips. Look at the way they drag and step. Man, I was looking at deer tracks a few weeks ago in my backyard, and I was like walking along. I said, "Wow, that's interesting. Look at the way they step and drag their claw, their hoofs." And I was like, some of it looks kind of bizarre, like, wow.
Absolutely, yes.
So, we had a combination of, of course, we have cats that stay outside. So we had cat tracks in the snow. We had little bunny tracks in the snow, and then the deer. We have a lot of deer in the yard here, so. But yeah, it's interesting.
It's so bold to say Dogman doesn't exist. I think there is something out there, but I think people are kind of hyping it up a little bit, because you hear those stories of how they shot the Dogman and the bullet just didn't hurt it. Well, if it's flesh and blood, if you shoot anything like that, it's going to be hurt. It's going to bleed. It's going to leave evidence of its existence. Yet we're always hearing otherwise, So is it that people are making the stories up? Are they seeing something that's not really there physically? Is there an interdimensional slip to these things? It's all a possibility. We don't know yet. We just don't know.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up about shooting any kind of cryptid, because I've heard stories about bears being shot. Bigfoot being shot, and it doesn't faze them. Well, I can tell you, there's stories about very large black bears here in Virginia that have been shot. You might only shoot and wound them. You may not kill them with a single shot. Because if they're a large enough animal, you might have just pissed them off enough to where they're like, for example, the one a few miles up the road several years ago, a group of hunters were bear hunting, right off the mountain, the part of the parkway. They were on the base of the mountain, and instead of staying together, one of the guys that shot the bear split off from the other group.
Oh,
bear. Yeah, you know what's happened next.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that bear did not get killed. He was pissed off because he got wounded. What did that bear do? He made a circle. He circled around, and he found one guy that was vulnerable all by himself. And that bear happened to go towards that guy and it starts to attack him. Luckily, the other hunters weren't entirely too far off. They were able to come and approach and shoot the bear dead. But
okay,
so
good. Wow.
So I mean, yeah, everybody, yeah, I think the guy suffered some minor injuries, but yeah, they were able to shoot the bear dead. And then later on, in a local newspaper, there was pictures of the bear. It was a big bear. They had it laid out in front of a backhoe bucket, laid out, stretched. I mean, wow, it was huge.
Getting chased by a bear is one of the most terrifying things to happen. I had it happen to me once. I don't ever want to repeat that again. Yeah, no, I got chased by a mama bear, and not doing that again.
Wow.
Yeah,
compared to us humans, yeah, a bear could outrun us because bears could run up to 30-something miles an hour. We can't run that fast.
I don't think she wanted to hurt me really, or maim me at all. I think she's just trying to get me away from her babies. But she was chasing me to do so, and it definitely worked. It most definitely worked. And I was just like, when I got free of that bear, I was kissing the ground, going, "Oh, thank you, God!"
Wow, crazy, man. You guys have a lot of bear. What's that?
I did have a Bigfoot encounter, or a possible Bigfoot encounter here in Arizona as well.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I went ghost hunting with a friend of mine. He came down from Georgia. He came all the way to Arizona, and he wanted to go to this mountain range that was nearby, and he wanted to go looking for Bigfoot. So I'm like, all right, yeah, great, let's go. And it was maybe about midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning. And I got this really crazy idea of taking my phone and playing the Ohio Howl. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
Okay, so what I was doing is I would play it. I'd wait maybe about 5 minutes, play it again, wait 5 minutes, play it again. About the fourth time, we heard something way off in the background. We heard that whoop, whoop. And that's when I turned off the phone. And I was like, whoa, did you hear that? And we're sitting there in the dark. We turned off our lights, and his poor pit bull started getting really nervous. And it was a big pit bull, Daniel, so she didn't get afraid of much. But she looked really nervous. She started shaking. All of a sudden, we hear rhythmic clapping moving closer to us. So it was like a steady, like that. And we turned our lights back on. And as we scanned the distance, maybe about 30 feet away, we saw eyes that were maybe about 7 feet above the vegetation. And when our lights hit it, it ducked down real quick.
Oh, wow.
So we started moving off. Something was throwing rocks at us, not hitting us, but throwing them at our feet. We heard the whooping sound again. So we started going away. We started moving down the hill into the valley, and whatever it was paralleling us. It was up on the ridge, walking alongside us until we actually got out of there.
Wow. Now, that sounds like a Bigfoot behavior based off of all the other descriptions. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that was a possible Bigfoot encounter. I really do. I didn't see it, up close. I didn't get to see what its face was like or what color it was. But I saw those eyes. They were shining bright. So when the lights hit the eyes, they were reflecting off.
What color was the reflection of the eyes?
It was almost a mixture of like the yellow, but depending on the angle, it'd turn red.
Okay. Interesting. Because my encounter, I share when people ask me, I share it in the story I tell, but the encounter that me and 5 others had back in 2014 here in Virginia. Now, we all had headlamps. They all took place after midnight. But what we were seeing, they all had bright yellowish looking glowing eyes from the reflection from our headlamps.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that's why I love that. I only hear this on a few occasions from other people, but I want to know, that's what I kind of okay, this is awesome. I'm not the only one that saw yellow eyes. So,
yeah, no, we definitely did. We definitely did. So, and the way that it ducked down real quick, it did not want to be seen. Because when that light was coming in its direction and the light hit it, it just said, "I'm out of here," and it dropped down real quick.
Right. The reason I'm glad I asked that and you shared that is because I get to hear a lot of stories where people say, "Yeah, I saw red eye shine." Okay, red eye shine could be a number of species, but when it comes to height, based off my experience on bears, just black bears alone, you shine a light at their eyes, you're going to see red.
Yes.
Every black bear here in Virginia that I've ever seen, either at night crossing the road on me or whatever, they've always had red eye shine. But and they say even a grizzly will have red eye shine. I never seen a grizzly, but I've heard from others that or grizzly will produce red eye shine. So so it always makes me question. Right, it always makes me question: are these people really? I mean, they claim to see a Bigfoot because hey, the eye shine was red and it was like 7-8 feet tall. Could have been a big tall bear standing up at night looking at them, and they're not seeing the physical features of whatever they're witnessing. I don't know. That's always been a question. I'm not saying Bigfoot doesn't produce red eye shine. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea, but I know what I saw in 2014. All three of them had yellow eyes. So, but
would the type of light also determine the type of eye shine you might get back?
See, that's another question. I've always wondered that too.
The intensity of the light determines what color the eye shine is going to be. So if you have a really dim light, you might get kind of like a faint white. If your light's bright enough, you might get yellow like we got. And if it's super bright, you might get the red. You might even get the blue or the green. So it's possible that Bigfoot has a wide range of eye shine color depending on the intensity of your light.
Right. Which, see, now that makes sense because, I mean, a couple of us, I will recall, we had some bright headlamps on. A couple of them might have been dim, but a couple of us had some very extremely high LEDs, so
there you go. And I think, also it depends if it's natural light as opposed to LED lights or anything like that. I think depending on that you could also change the eye color with that as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's why I asked.
Interesting.
Well, if you notice with humans, with the old school Polaroid cameras, when we used to take pictures during the 80s, Daniel, we used to come out with red eyes. It looked like a demonic uprising of the 80s because we all had the red eyes.
I got plenty of pictures of me with red eyes, that's for sure.
See, there you go. And humans don't give off eye shine. So maybe, it's the bright light that's causing the red reflection from different Bigfoot.
A very interesting way to look at that, though. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wonder if there's a way. I mean, do you think? I mean, even David and Melissa, feel free to jump in on this. I mean, as far as to determine a more accurate lens cover or eye shine color, is there something you guys think we should be able to do or produce or use that might give a more accurate eye shine color than? I don't know. Maybe that's kind of a tough question. I don't know, but that's something I would like to know. I mean, it's something different somehow.
I think we're kind of limited on the kind of lights we can use when we're out there because you got your LEDs, your standard bulbs, and stuff like that. Then you got your IR, from your cameras and stuff like that. Plus, you got your IR flashlights that we use sometimes.
Right.
I mean, that's something we can look at and see what we can come up with, for our camp outs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think we'll be kind of limited on the scope of what we might be able to get to be able to.
Well, you could do a trial run.
Test it on too. I mean,
so I'm not saying that Bigfoot is a type of ape, okay? But gorillas and chimpanzees, they are primates, okay? Now, if Bigfoot falls into the primate category, what we could do is test the brightness of lights on different primates to see what color eye shine they give off.
That's true. Yes, absolutely.
True. That is true.
Because, I'm glad you brought that up, Brian, because now there's many people out there that look at Bigfoot as a type of human. And they'll deny the primate side of things. However, like I bring this up all the time in various discussions in my research. I believe there's a big contradiction in this because us as humans, we're considered primates, right?
Yes. Thank you. We fall into the category of primate. Yes.
Exactly. We're of the greater apes, so there's a contradiction. If you're going to deny one and accept the other, you can't do that. You got to take them both together. So that's my thing.
Want my honest take on that, honestly?
Go ahead. Please do. Go ahead.
So, okay. With the way that people view Bigfoot as a spiritual entity, I think they like the romanticism that comes with it. Because when you talk to a lot of the indigenous tribes, okay, Bigfoot is viewed as a spiritual being. Like the Ojibwe, call him the Quiche Sabe.
Oh, yeah.
All right. He was a great teacher that taught us honesty. And there's a little irony in there because Bigfoot, the Quiche Sabe, brings us honesty and truth. Yet, how many hoaxers do we have in the Bigfoot field? I mean, there's irony there. But I think people need to kind of deviate away from the spirituality just a little bit so we can actually find answers. Okay, you can't answer every question by going, oh well, I don't have to answer that because it's spiritual. You're not doing the field any services when you do that. You know, when you shut people down from asking questions, what are you even doing? You're not serving the field in any way, shape, or form. You're just being stuck up. You're putting a cog, a screw in the cogs so we can't be a well-oiled machine. And that's a big problem in the cryptozoology field. We're not allowed to ask questions.
Right. People get offended by questions.
Yeah. Right.
We ask questions because we. Oh, go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
It's even getting worse nowadays. Stuff with all this AI and everything that's going on. You got, you like you always saying, you got your hoaxers. You got all this AI stuff, and then people that really hadn't had any experiences are saying this. So how are they going to believe those that truly say that they had an experience? It's basically going to be boiling down to, it's going to be firsthand experience. Is what all of this is going to come down to. How many stories can you believe or not believe anymore? Photos and so on and so forth, to where you can rationalize about what you're looking at. I mean, anything I see on the internet anymore, I just take it with a grain of salt. That's why we go out and stuff and camping to get our own experience. And we may get some fantastic evidence sometimes, and then at some point, and then who's going to believe that when we tell them? Because of all this fake stuff going around, and people want to embellish things when they tell their story, and every shadow they see is a Bigfoot or a dog man or whatever the case may be. But you got to be able to rationalize, sit back, look at it. Like you say, Daniel, know what you're doing out there, understand the environment, people behavior, animal behavior, and work backwards to where you can exhaust any possibility. And once you get all the possibilities exhausted of what it could have been, then you may have something.
There you go. Right. Yep. Debunk yourself first. You have to debunk yourself. Don't be too proud to do that. That's what I do with my stuff. When I go out researching, if I have photos or videos, I'm scrubbing through it and I'll debunk myself before I say, oh, look, I caught a Bigfoot and her baby and 12 dogmen behind him.
Right. Yeah. Well, Ryan, with that being said, like I tell people, when, like I've been questioned and asked this, multiple times from people that are new and that want to get involved with this, like, hey, what can I do to get involved with Bigfoot research? I said, well, technically, I told them, there's no right or wrong way to do this. I said, you got to have fun with it regardless. But,
yes,
I give them some basics. Like my basics are, well, first of all, choose an area, get familiar with it, learn about the wildlife that, learn about what, exists and inhabits these areas. Get familiar with all them. Get familiar with the tracks. If you don't know wildlife, that's the first thing I would tell them. But, there's so much, there's so many other things. Like when you go out in the woods, this is the biggest thing I tell people. And again, this is easier said than done because I know I get caught up in this. But I tell them when you go out there, don't think about Bigfoot. Get Bigfoot off your brain. The first thing you do, like regardless of the cryptid. Exactly. Regardless of the cryptid you're researching, get it off your brain. Because think about every other wildlife. Yeah. And again, I'm going to say that's easier said than done because when I'm out in the woods now, I mean, even till this day, I'm right there at age with you. I've been doing this for over 15 years, and like, again, it's easier said than done because you're excited, you're pumped up. You want to find that evidence. You want to find something that might contribute, that you might be able to contribute to a Bigfoot or whatever you're researching. And again, Bigfoot does creep up on you. It's like, oh man, that's got to be Bigfoot evidence right there. Damn it, Daniel, stop. That's probably a bear or weather did that, or you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I know it's easier said than done. We get pumped up in what we're involved in. So
see, that's where we differ though, Daniel. Because like when I go out doing my skinwalker investigations, I don't want to see a skinwalker. I'm not going, oh, maybe today's the day that I'm going to run into a Yinatalushi. I'm going, please don't let this be the day that I run into one. I don't want to see one.
Right. So, but I mean, all kinds of thoughts run through your mind when you hear unfamiliar sounds or strangeness out there. I mean, I'm sure David and Melissa can tell you because we've heard, they've been out with me enough where they've heard enough on their own, I mean, where we question things,
you gotta familiarize yourself with the known wildlife. That's what I always tell people. Right. I told them Jump online, look up different noises like elk, foxes, bobcats, because you might hear that when you're out there. So if you know what they sound like, you can dismiss those noises right off the bat. So you're not going to
don't overlook the owls too. Don't overlook the owls, because a lot of people
So you're not going to sit there and be like, "Oh, that was a Bigfoot." That you can actually sit there and go, "No, what that was this." So moving on.
Right. Well, it's funny you guys.
The story on that too is there are some people that say that Bigfoot mimic.
Yeah.
You got that aspect to look at too. But you
right, exactly.
And just point at Bigfoot, because owls do the same thing, and Bigfoot may mimic owl sound.
Right. Well, it's just I was called an idiot not long ago in a Bigfoot group.
Oh no!
And, well, it's a local Virginia Bigfoot group, and the guy who runs the group, he's a good friend of mine. He's a really nice guy, much older gentleman. Well, somebody in his group. He shared a YouTube video from this other individual that lives out in Charlottesville, Virginia. And anyway, he played this audio that he captured. And I listened to the audio. I was curious to see what kind of audio, hey, if it's in Virginia and it's something strange that somebody recorded, of course I want to be on top of it. I want to hear this. And maybe it's something I've heard before, Sure. So of course, sure enough, I pushed play on this YouTube video, listened to this sound, and now for the record, before I even listened to this, they were clearly saying this was not no known species. This was something else. This is something blah blah blah. So okay, I was like, this is good. I was already intrigued. I had to listen to this. I pushed play on this YouTube video, and I'm listening to this audio this gentleman recorded. And I was like, okay, I'm listening to all these owls, and I'm waiting for something else to pop up. Come to the end of the audio, I never heard nothing different. It was so I was like, wait a minute. I said, is this serious? I was like, are you guys serious? I was like, because I've had owls over the years, close and distant. I've heard them all. And people don't realize these barred owls make some god awful crazy sounds, and I've heard them all. I promise you, they do. And I was like, I've been out in the woods enough by myself with others. I've heard them all. They make some weird shit, So,
we got them around here, and the barred owls are good. We got them around here, and barred owls, and every now and then, it'd be about maybe 25 yards from you, let out this big, real long screeching sound, like scream. And if you're not prepared for it, or don't know what it is, you're going to be running. A lot of people would be.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like Bobcat scream. Bobcat screams. Yeah, if you've never heard one before, and it's nighttime, and you hear that, you're like, "What? What is that?"
I've heard them all. Yeah, some of them very close. Bobcats and owls. I've heard bobcats like within feet from. Like I've camped out with me and my ex-wife many years ago in the same national forest where I normally do a lot of my research. And oh my gosh, it put it raised my heart really high in my chest and fluttered like, because it was at nighttime and we were tent camping in an area where you're not allowed to camp at it no more, but because they don't want people camping in there because the college kids trash the area. But anyway, long story short, I've going back to this whole recording I've listened to. I was like, I found this recording of barred owls recorded in an enclosure.
Oh,
and boy, when I listened to these sounds, I was like, dude, I said, somebody recorded the same sounds and tried to say it wasn't owls. So I shared it. I actually put it on my YouTube channel, and then I shared it into this group. It's like, listen to these barred owls, blah blah blah. Same identical sounds. I was like, because I got recordings of owl on my SoundCloud account that you can hear the hoots and whatever and the various sounds. But yes, barred owls will make some weird, crazy sounds. Barred owls are one of the very few species that will mimic. Well, I shouldn't say mimic, but will sound like primates. So
yes,
that's exactly what I produced. And you know what? Everything they were all in the original post. I didn't get questioned. I think I felt like I was the judge slamming his whatever you call
Gavel.
Gavel, yes. Thank you. And I was like, I rest my case. I didn't say nothing. I just posted it and shared it, and then they listened to it. I didn't have to say no more. I rest my case.
So here's a question. Maybe one of you three can answer it, but where did the whole thing of Bigfoot mimicking people come from originally? Because I've spoken to indigenous people of all tribes across the United States. None of them talk to them mimicking their people. So I'm wondering, where did this start?
I haven't had a clue.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because that's a very common trait among primates. Primates mimic. But then again, people say, well, Bigfoot's not a primate. But yet he mimics. It's a very common behavior and trait among known species of primates. They will mimic other animals.
There.
Exactly. So it's funny. I'm glad, and I don't try to push. I do, but I don't. I try to share strongly of my opinion and my conclusion on Bigfoot. Because everything I find, and I don't try, Ryan, I don't try to come across as a know-it-all. I swear, I really don't. But with my research and the things I keep coming up with from the time I got involved with this, even up to today, everything I experience myself or what people are producing and what people are sharing, I feel like, honestly, everything supports more of what I'm looking at and more of what I'm believing Bigfoot just to be. I mean, yeah, I know we can't prove it right now, but there's more and more evidence. I don't understand how people look at evidence if they're really paying attention. But more and more is pointed towards them being a type of primate.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm not saying Bigfoot's a gorilla. I'm not saying Bigfoot's a chimpanzee or orangutan. I mean, I just believe he's his own type of species of his own kind. That we don't know.
There's an overlap there. I think that people, when you say the word primate, they instantly think monkey. But
exactly.
I think realize primate could include human. If we meant specifically monkey, we'd say simian. If we were saying, they're simian, then you can get mad at us for calling them monkeys. But if we're saying primate, they could be a type of human for all you know. So take it easy.
So yeah, and one of my when I go to speaking engagements, one of the things I like to share that's in my regardless, I switch my presentations up every so often, but one of the main things I always add in there is a simple thing when I show up a non-human and a human finger. Because I go to explain that, hey, look, there's only two species in this entire world that have what we have, and it shows dermal ridges. I said, primates and human. So
and we all people lean heavily into is when they talk about the indigenous Bigfoot, how Bigfoot is seen as a spiritual being. I think what we have to keep in mind though is a lot of people are taking oral traditions that seem like Bigfoot and saying that they absolutely are Bigfoot without looking into the details. And they also have to keep in mind that sure, in some stories Bigfoot is seen as spiritual, but in some stories so are owls and buffalo and the deer.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You can't just say, oh, well, Bigfoot is 100% spiritual because they said so. No, you got to look at their other stories and see what else they considered spiritual and kind of take it from there.
Right. And one, it's funny. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm sure if we had, I don't know if Ryan, I don't know if you know him, but William Nighthawk.
That's my brother. Yeah.
Yeah. I love him. He is very knowledgeable. And with what you just said, I honestly believe that he would agree with you 100%. So, because that's the way a lot of us look at stuff like that. Yeah, you're Native American. I don't care what tribe you come from. Yeah, Native Americans look at almost any flesh and blood as a spiritual being.
Yes, they do.
They talk about the spirit of the eagle, the spirit of the deer, the spirit of a wolf. Every species has a spirit. According to them.
You have to look into the details though, and actually pay attention to their oral traditions to see what they mean by spiritual, because they have different definitions of spiritual. So with Bigfoot, they sometimes say that he was a gift from the creator, but they're not saying that he's from a different world. They're saying that their creator, their God, put him down here to live alongside us. You really have to look into the details. You can't just skip over the details and cherry pick what you want. That's not how it works.
That's right, exactly. And I think a lot of individuals do that without considering, how things are viewed.
William Nighthawk's tribe, the Lakota, in his tribe, they call the Bigfoot the Cheatonka. That means big elder brother, okay?
Right.
But it didn't say he's specifically 100% spiritual. Because William will tell you that they're here. They're in our forests. They live on our lands. But they're spiritual in the sense that they have a higher purpose. So they're not just here as animals. They're here to live alongside humans. We're supposed to coexist with them and respect them. Doesn't mean that they're gods. They have these supernatural abilities, or that they can cloak, or that they're 100 times stronger than us. And that's the stuff I've been dissecting for many years now.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really hope I really hope William's health is up there, because I would love to have him come out to our camp out in May. So.
Oh man.
Yeah. So would I. But I don't plan on it, because the last time we talked to him, I don't know if you've heard, Daniel, but when he had his last checkup, he was telling us that they found another spot in his lung, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh no, I did not know about that.
And another cancer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, he's my adopted brother. He adopted me as his little brother, so we're family.
That's awesome.
He just lives right up the road from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get with.
I co-host his show with him every Wednesday night. So,
oh, okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
You do the midnight ones. You do the midnight?
Yep. Yep, I sure do.
Yeah, we usually are in bed by then.
Yep, every other Wednesday I'll be on there with him.
I told William that the other day. He's sitting late to having another one at midnight. I said, well, we got to work. I mean, I 10 o'clock at night here and stuff, and then 2 hours of podcast and getting up at 3. That don't work.
Oh, so were one of you in the chat the other night? Because I remember somebody saying they had to go to bed.
Well, that was me one night, but I mean, there might be others too. But
okay, so that was you. All right. Okay.
But
yeah, see, I wouldn't mind joining one of those. Like, the only way I could do it, it would have to be on a Saturday night now, or because I start a new job on Monday. So I mean, I start at 7 a.m. I get off at 3 p.m. But so
well, Daniel, I have my own show that I do on Friday nights. So
Oh, you're right. Okay. Well, what time does that start?
I usually do it about 5:30, maybe 6:30 in the evening, and we go for about an hour, hour and a half, depending on how long the guest wants to stay.
So that's 5 o'clock your time?
Yes.
Okay, so that'd be about 7 our time over here. Okay.
Yeah. So if you ever want to jump on as a guest, Daniel, you're more than welcome.
Okay. Just to make sure, because my grandson usually goes to bed around 8, so I'll have to just convince my parents to watch. They're like, hey, I'm going on a show. I'm out of here. I'll be in the garage. Bye.
I'm free and loose, man. If you ever want to schedule it for after he goes to bed, I am more than willing and capable of doing that. So you just give me the word and we'll have it at that time.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'll figure something out. Yeah, like I said, as long as I don't have to get up early in the morning the next day. I mean, well, I get up early every day, regardless if I'm working or not, because of him. But I usually take him to school in the morning. So
I've got a question for you guys, and I want to see how you guys honestly feel about this. The indigenous Bigfoot. So it's a popular topic, the indigenous Bigfoot. But do you believe that the indigenous people actually had encounters with Bigfoot, or do you think it's all false? Because there's somebody out there who made a video saying that no, the tribes had nothing to do with Bigfoot. But then I spoke to people in Canada from the Turtle Island tribe. All right, they're Ojibwe. And when I asked them straight up, did your people really have encounters with Bigfoot? They literally laughed. They're like, yes, it's called the Quiche Sabe. When we talk about our 7 grandfather laws, he's in there. So we have had encounters with Bigfoot. So whoever says that we didn't doesn't know what they're talking about.
It's not just the verbal encounters either, from my understanding. Mm-hmm. Are there any depictographs, stuff like that, going back in history of depictions of Bigfoot and tribes and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep.
I've seen so much stuff on TV and the internet looking at this stuff sometimes. Sometimes it all gets intermixed. But
it does.
I don't know.
What about you, Daniel? What do you think about that?
Well, go ahead, Melissa. Go ahead.
So I believe they really do see them. I believe they see them in the woods. That's why the woods is so spiritual to them.
Yes.
William is very spiritual in regards to the woods. I mean, it's very sacred area for him.
Absolutely.
And he honestly believes that, he has grown up seeing Bigfoot. I believe he's also said that his tribe thinks that Bigfoot has the skinwalker capabilities and the interdimensional traveling.
Well, he's bringing up different aspects of that, but he does tell a story about his people, Lakota people, a long time ago, actually had physical encounters with them until a death in the tribe of the Native American boy.
Yeah, the Cheatanka.
What's that?
The Cheatanka. That's what the Lakota call him.
Yeah, and then after that accidental death of the Native American boy, the interaction ceased after that. And as William tells it, it's because I guess the Bigfoot tribe, or whatever you want to call them at that time, felt bad about it in ways, stuff like that, since there was death involved, that they broke away from that the physical type contact.
Yes.
William would have to elaborate more on that for more detail, but I do remember him telling that story several times when he has his podcast and stuff. So.
Yes.
Yeah, so almost every North American, just in North America alone, not to mention other cultures and countries, but in almost every North American legend of Native American legend, there tends to be some type of legend or folklore relating or contributed to Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Now, with that being said, once I learned on my father's side of the family, from my father's side of the family, they're Canadian French, the Benoit family. On dad's side of the family, we have what you call, there's two different tribes that one is known as the Micmac, which they originally were based out of Nova Scotia. Came later, sometimes it came and settled into other parts of Canada, and then settled in, their last remaining settlement was in parts of Maine. That was the first one I learned about, and before I learned about that, we had Iroquois in the bloodline. But the Micmac alone, from what I've researched, because when I learned about this, I was like, oh, this is cool. I want to know, do they have a Bigfoot legend? So, sure enough, I did some research and I did some reading. The Micmac legends, they have there was several names, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably familiar with this because I've heard other people mention this, but these names were mentioned only on the northeastern shores and up in Canada. But there was just to name and mention, you got the Gugwe, and there was other names. And the legend talks about it was related to a large, giant, hairy female that used to kidnap children. And some of the folklore related to cannibalistic hairy beings. So, just to make name a couple, again, a lot of these, a lot of folklore tends to originate from something,
I'm so glad you brought that up, though, Daniel, because I kind of take issue with people pushing around the name Gugwe, because the Micmac, the name for the Gugwe originally was Kukwes, okay?
Right.
And the Kukwes, as you said, was a tall woman that had a basket on her back, similar to the Zuni.
Exactly.
The basket over it. But my problem is, though, in the Micmac traditions, they describe her as being taller than the highest pine trees, and they say she's always female. So we took the name Kukwes and we kind of Americanized it a bit. I guess it's Anglo-Saxon now, and it's Gugwe. But are we really following the actual depiction that the Micmac used when we see these things? Or did we just take the name? Because for the modern day people, the Gugwe are the mandrill or baboon-faced Bigfoot that are really aggressive, that are known to kill people, but that doesn't line up with the Micmac belief.
Right, exactly. There were other names used. I can't think of them right off the top of my head. I have all this. I've done studies on all this, but it's been a long time since I've really looked into it and brought it up. But there are other names besides the Gugwe is the one I can remember the most. But
And
there
you said
are other
Iroquois, right?
Iroquois was the other one that I learned about later. But the Micmac is the one when I looked into their folklore of their Bigfoot legend of folklore. Googway was one of the names I recall reading. So
yes. Well, the
yeah.
Iroquois, the name for Bigfoot from the Iroquois is Janoskwa.
Oh yeah, the Janoskwa, the stone giant, right?
Yes, and
yes,
there's actually some stories from that didn't come just from the Native Americans. There was a father and son duo that came from England. They went to go on a hunting trip in Canada, so they hired an Iroquois hunting guide who took them to a very good spot where they could kill deer, moose, bear. But there was an island outside of that area that he took them to, and he told them, whatever you do, don't go there. That's the Janoskwa's domain. Don't ever go. And so, they pretended they were going to listen to him. And one early morning, the son got a wild hair across his butt and started rowing the canoe over to that island. And they caught him too late. So they're telling him, come back, don't go there. Janoskwa's there. And he just kept going anyway. So he made landfall and he made his way up this hill. Within maybe like 5 minutes, they saw him running down. A Janoskwa was chasing after him. He caught the kid and he actually ripped him in half right in front of the father and the hunting guide.
Oh my gosh.
That's what they say. Don't mess with Janoskwa.
Wow. And that story there that was based off of a true event?
Yeah, it happened in 1879. The father actually wrote it down in his diary.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, just out of curiosity, I've done some research on the oldest. What's the oldest Bigfoot type legends or stories that you are familiar with?
Oh my goodness!
Well, before we get into that, I mean, what's your take? Like, I don't know if Melissa and David read into this. I mean, there's limited information on this, but I've done some research. When I learned about Leif Erikson from 986, I believe it was, AD, 986 AD. Only here on the shores of North America, they claim to have seen these large, savaging-looking, hairy, smelly creatures. I mean, what's your take on that? Are you familiar with that? Or
yeah, I mean, I've even heard the story of Genghis Khan. Did you ever hear about him when he was trying to do his little conquering trip? How when he hit the Himalayas, he and his troops
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so what Genghis Khan said is that they were having a successful campaign, that they were conquering people before them. They got to the Himalayas and they had to turn back because there was giant ape men that were killing their horses and killing the men. And so Genghis Khan actually issued a retreat because they couldn't conquer these ape men. Now that sounds like the Yeti, which would be parallel with Bigfoot.
I would say so, yeah. I mean, it was back in the early oh man, what's his name? Who was the gentleman who organized the expeditions for the Yeti? That was back in the early 1940s or 50s.
Yeah, I forgot his name, but yeah, I mean, even today though, those footprints haven't been solved. Nobody knows where they came from.
Right, and there's been several documentaries based off the whole Yeti situation, even till these days, but. There's only right now all they could really come up with right now is other stories when they meet with the locals up there that are willing to speak.
I never got the whole thing though where they say the Yeti's nothing more than a bear. They're not even looking at the name Yeti to see what it translates to. When you actually look at the translation of Yeti, it means that thing. Now the natives, the locals there, they're going to know a bear from anything else. They're not going to call a bear that thing. They're going to say, it's this type of bear. So if there's something out there that they're calling the Yeti, which means that thing, it's something outside of a bear, okay?
Right.
So when people go, the Yeti's nothing more than a bear, I have to scoff.
Yeah. Yeah, now there was a rare species of bear that existed up in those mountains, which was a flat-faced bear that was at one time used to be extinct, but yeah, they have shared that there was evidence of it still existing based off of DNA and whatnot, but so that's a whole different story in itself. But yeah, those I don't see. Yeah, based on what they came up with the Yeti tracks in the snow, I don't see that being of a bear. I mean, those contribute to some type of weird primate.
there's some kind of misconcept with the Yeti as well, because everybody thinks it's a white Bigfoot, but the Yeti was never described as having white hair. It was always described as dark brown, red, or even black. You know, the white Yeti thing didn't come about until Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, that animation, the puppet animation TV show. That's when the white Yeti popularized. It's not because he really is a white furred Bigfoot. It's because that's how he was in that show. And people just assume that's how it is. But no, same colors that we see of Bigfoot here is what they see with the Yeti over in the Himalayas.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, good old Bumble. What was his name? Bumbles?
Bumble.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Well, Ron, I got a question for you right quick. Since you've been doing this skinwalker research, is there any one type investigation that you've done that really sticks to your mind, that just drives it home to why you're doing what you're doing?
Yes. So one time I took a friend of mine, and he's a skeptic about everything. Okay. He doesn't believe in ghosts, UFOs, anything like that. So when I told him I'm going to go look into a Yinaradushi, he was kind of having a laugh, you know. But on the way to this place that we were going, I told him, whatever you do, be respectful, okay? Don't make fun of the belief in the Yinaradushi. Don't mock it. Don't say anything that's to be offensive. So he agreed, right? But being a typical smartass that he is, we get to this place, and he starts saying skinwalkers are BS, they're crap, they're not real. Well, that night, we started hearing this old woman calling our names. So here I am out in the dark, and I hear a woman going, Ryan, this way, Ryan. You know, I'm looking around. There's no one in sight. I can't see anybody. Then we hear someone calling his name. You know, so right there, I was like, see what you did? You offended him.
Oh, wow.
That's what's happening. So that night, I told him, don't you ever do that again. Don't you ever go on Navajo land and disrespect this kind of stuff, because who knows what that thing was going to do to us. You know, and so I told a Navajo friend of mine, I was like, yeah, you know, we were out there looking into, you know, where he suggested we go. I heard an old woman calling my name, and he looked at me dead in the eyes, Daniel. He goes, Ryan, there was no woman out there. It was just you and your friend at first. What you heard wasn't just a woman. That was a Yinaradushi calling your name. You know,
and, well, that name you're mentioning, is that what you would refer to as skinwalker?
Yeah, Yinaradushi in the Navajo language, that's what they call the skinwalkers. And the name Yinaradushi, translated into English, means by means of it, on all fours he goes. Okay, and they call them that because they'll don the pelt of like a coyote or a bear or a mountain lion, and they'll assume the shape of these animals. So when they say, you know, Yinaradushi, it does translate to by means of it, on all fours he goes. Skinwalker kind of came from, I can't really pinpoint where that term began. I think it kind of started with the reptilians, the aliens, and maybe even shows like V kind of started the whole popular skinwalker terminology. But the Navajo referred to them as Yinaradushi.
Very interesting.
It's a scary topic. I know a lot of people think, no, it's not possible. They can't exist. And believe me, at first, before I really got into it, I would share that sentiment and say, yeah, no, it's made up. It's a horror story. But after seeing the things I've done and, you know, speaking to the people I've spoken to, my whole outlook was changed entirely. I do believe the Yinaradushi are a real thing, and there's something you have to be very careful of.
Right.
Is the skinwalker, I thought about this a while back watching some of these programs. Is it primarily certain native tribes are associated with it, or is it pretty much across the board with any Native American tribe?
Mostly it's the Navajo, the Dene, that have that. So you do have branch offs of the Dene tribe, and they all have their own different beliefs in their own version of the Yinaradushi, but it changes. You know, like for each tribe, it's different. Like the Cherokee have what's known as the Raven Mocker, and that's their form of a skinwalker.
Gotcha. Okay.
Interesting.
See, there's so much out there between Bigfoot and the skinwalkers, and you got history of different tribes and cultures and stuff.
Yes.
In my mind, something has to be there, or had been there, for any of this to take shape. Because I can't see all these stories just manifesting out of nowhere, and yet you got tribes that really don't intermingle, and white man or whatever this stuff as far as then you got the people over in India and places like that up in the Himalayas. I mean, to me, something has to be there. I'm not going to run full bore and believe everything I see.
Oh, no, I agree with you, David, 100%.
It gets back into research, eliminate all possibilities before you even try to come up with any kind of truth.
Right.
I think something, from my experience, it's a little bit of paranormal growing up and everything over the years, it's too long to get into right now. But that's got me cemented and wanting to do this more. And then, of course, we had to meet Daniel about 5 years ago. And
of course. I mean, with the skinwalkers, you know, I know it's a hard pill to swallow when you talk about shape-shifting humans and everything like that. But when I learned the history of why the Yi-Nararushi came about and how they were once, you know, a good thing, but then they went bad, that's when it kind of solidified my belief that, okay, there were people that were shape-shifting, you know, because the Dene people, the Navajo, they believe that their creator gave them the ability to shapeshift as a gift, okay? It was a way for their medicine men to get to the sick and the dying quicker, you know, because when you're walking on 2 feet and you got to go a great distance, you may not make it in time. So their creator said, here, use this gift. You can turn into a bird. You can turn into this so you can get to where you need to be faster to help those in need. You know, so that's how it began with the skinwalkers. But then the Spaniards invaded and they tried to take over the lands from the Navajo, and they were killing them off. And of course, as with any gift, there's people that go bad with it. You know, I kind of compare it to the Jedi and the Sith. You know, you have all these abilities, but then there's always people that want to use them for selfish reasons. And so these medicine men started realizing, well, we can use this gift to battle people. We can use it to hurt people. And the other medicine men were saying, no, don't do that. It's a gift from our creator. They did it anyway. So being a shapeshifter became a bad thing. It became very taboo. And they gave them the name Yi-Nararushi, and they exiled them from their tribe. So if you're someone who's practicing the black medicine, the dark medicine, they don't want anything to do with you. You're forbidden. You're taboo. You know, so when they told me the history of this stuff, that's when I was like, well, if they have a history like this, where it's that intense, where it was used against Spaniards and the settlers that came in, then there's something to it.
I had no idea of that aspect of what you just brought up. That it started with the medicine man to do good and stuff like that. I had no knowledge of that. You just said it.
Yeah,
I thought it was always something bad. From my understanding, from what I've seen and picked up, I thought it was always just a bad skinwalker spirit out there just doing bad things. But
no, that's what the Yi-Nararushi start out as, is they're actually a medicine man or a medicine woman that for some reason decides to go into the dark arts. Instead of practicing the blessing way, they go into the darker terrain where it's like, you know, oh, I can use it to gain this, I can do that. So they practice the forbidden medicine is what would be considered. And that's how they become the Yi-Nararushi. They sacrifice a loved one. It has to be someone that they love very much, a wife, a husband, a child. They take them out into the dark of night and they murder them violently. And once they murder them, that's a pact with whatever dark arts they're trying to practice. So that's their devotion, is a blood oath, pretty much.
Wow.
Interesting.
So I do believe in it. I know it's way out there and it sounds like an episode of the Twilight Zone or the X-Files, but hey, I'm like Fox Mulder. I'm going to look into it. You know, if you tell me something's out there, give me a shovel. I'll go dig for it. Maybe I'll even ask for a backhoe. I don't know. But
there you go. Brian, I got a quick question before there's a couple other things I want to jump into before we switch gears. But
sure.
Quick question, kind of off topic. Do you travel at all?
Not right now. Right now, my current financial situation kind of leaves me just going to places in Arizona. But once I get on my feet again, I look to expand.
Okay. Well, with that being said, hopefully things work out. I'll be in touch with you in regards to further discussions on what I want to talk to you about. Start saving for next year.
I can do that. I can definitely do that.
Okay, good deal. So, well, here's a question for both. Well, actually, I'm going to ask this question, and then we'll get into this afterwards before I ask this next question. Are you familiar with the show Expedition Bigfoot?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. Dave and Melissa, have you guys been following Expedition Bigfoot?
Yeah, I just seen the newest episode here the other day. I DVR it to record it.
Okay, yeah, I've been following it. Actually, the way my thing's been recorded, for some reason, I think people are already on episode 6. I don't know, or 4 or 5 of the new series. I don't know. I got Discovery Channel, but I haven't recorded. I have yet to watch the first episode. So, but with that being said, we're going to get into that very shortly. But I wanted to ask Ryan, what would be the most extreme claim that you've heard of that you have a hard time believing or accepting?
Okay, so this has nothing to do with Bigfoot, but I had a lady who, for about 4 weeks straight, and that's no exaggeration, 4 weeks, a total month, she would call me every day on Facebook to try to convince me that she had a friendly Wendigo that would come down from the mountains to share breakfast with her. Okay. Now, to some new guy that never heard of the Wendigo before, he might think, oh, great, this is awesome. I'm known as the Wendigo guy. Okay. I've been studying the Wendigo for years. So I'm sitting there telling her, going, girl, the Wendigo is not a positive thing. It's not friendly. If you're experiencing a Wendigo, you're in danger. You need to run away. They're not going to come down and be like, oh, can we have a spot of tea and a crumpet for breakfast? They're not going to do that.
Right?
Daniel, it was driving me nuts because I asked her, well, do you have cannibalism in your neck of the woods? Because if you do, you should probably move. That's not a good thing. No. This Wendigo is a water spirit that, decided to summon itself to come visit me. And I'm going, oh, God, you're giving me an extension migraine.
Wow. A water spirit?
Yeah. I mean, if you know anything about the Wendigo, Daniel, you're going to sit there and go, really? You have a friendly Wendigo that comes to share breakfast with you? A Wendigo.
I mean, I know some basics, and I watch movies based off of what the Wendigo is. But it's like, there's not water spirit about that whole topic.
Right. So, do you want me to explain the Wendigo a little bit?
Oh, feel free. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, what the Wendigo is an Algonquin Cree Ojibwe belief. It's a spiritual entity that, say, a man or a woman commit cannibalism. It's the most taboo act one can commit. This spirit will possess them, and it strips away their humanity, and it turns them into this creature where they're constantly starving for human flesh. They're so hungry that they chew away their own lips, they chew away their fingertips, and no matter how much they eat, they're constantly hungry. They're starving for the human flesh, and the more they eat, the bigger the Wendigo gets. So, for this thing to be quote unquote friendly, I'm going, yeah, right.
Wow. The one movie I recall watching regarding the Wendigo, I know there's other movies out there, but the one, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was called Antlers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you know the movie I'm talking about. I mean,
of course. That Wendigo, I'm on it.
Yeah. So that movie there, I recall watching the whole thing. It was pretty freakish. Now, with that being said,
historical documentation, though, people say that there's never been any reported encounters of the Wendigo, and that's not true. In the winter of 1879, there was a Cree fur trader by the name of Swift Runner. Okay, he took his wife, his mother-in-law, and his 4 kids along a hunting route that he's been through many times. This was his cabin. He's been along this route numerous times through the years. He took them there one year, and then he came back to Fort Saskatchewan. And he was talking about how they were starving and there was no food, no game. And so he had to kill his family. He had to eat his family. And sure enough, when the magistrates forced him to take them back to his cabin, he showed him a grisly sight, Daniel. It was disgusting. There was smears of fat all along the walls and on the doors, along the trees. There was intestines boiling in a pot. There was human flesh cooking on a fire. There was skeletons everywhere. The femurs were cracked open where he had to suck out the marrow. And he actually just nonchalantly would bend down, pick a skeleton up by its eye sockets between 2 fingers. He'd waggle the skull and he'd be like, this was my wife. And then he'd throw that one aside. He'd pick up another one. This was my son. And he just throw it away. When they asked him, why did you do this? He told them, I am Wendigo. So yeah, there is historical reports of a Wendigo possessing someone.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, well, with all being said, like I said, the movie was called Antlers, but I recently seen a post where somebody was talking about the true legend of Wendigo. Maybe I'm thinking about something. Maybe I'm getting this mixed up. But supposedly the Wendigo is claimed to does not have antlers. I mean, what's your description? What's your knowledge on that?
So the antler thing comes from Algernon Blackwood's book, The Wendigo. There was an artist that was trying to kind of relay it in a comic book form, and he saw the branches, because in the book, Algernon depicts it as a human being that was wearing forest debris as camouflage. So this artist misinterpreted it and he gave it antlers. And then what happened too? People confused the Wendigo with the Wachuge and Hern the Hunter. So they gave it that deer head, they gave it the antlers, they gave it fur, they gave it tails, 4 legs. That's not how the Wendigo look, okay? A Wendigo looks like an emaciated human being that's pretty much bald, okay? Skin is white, super pale. They usually have sunken yellow eyes. They have chewed away lips, chewed away fingertips. There's really no semblance of humanity in them anymore. They act very animal-like. So that's the real depiction of the Wendigo.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, have you seen anyone who's seen the movie Antlers? That was a pretty freakish movie, but where the kid was protecting his father and his
They were so close when it was just the dad, and he was looking so demonic in a sense. How he had the veins going across his body and his face had changed. That was an accurate representation of the Wendigo. When they had him change into that antlered form, that's when I was like, no, why did you do this? You were so accurate up until that point. Why would you do that?
Yeah, well, that being said, I think that had a lot to do with the entertainment industry. With if whoever produced that movie is like, yeah, we got to make this look like, hey, what we could come up with.
Yeah, I get it, but the most accurate representation I've ever seen in any kind of media is that video game Until Dawn. If you look at screenshots of that video game, how they portray the Wendigo in that video game is spot on accurate. That's 100% how the Algonquins, the Cree, the Ojibwe, all of them described it just like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can't say I've ever. You said that was a video game?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay. I haven't played video games it's been quite some time, but yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Yeah.
It's a good story, and actually, it does have its foundations in the original lore. That's why I love that game so much, because it's about 2 sisters that have an accident. They fall off a cliff, and their friends think that they died falling off the cliff. Well, what happened is they actually fell down into a mine. One of the sisters lived after falling off this cliff. The other sister died. So the sister that lived had to cannibalize her sister, and that's how she became possessed by the Wendigo.
Right.
So it was accurate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, very good. So, yeah, I want to. I'm glad you shared that with us. That's very interesting information.
My pleasure.
So I want to switch gears. The reason before I asked that, I was talking. I want to make sure you guys are familiar with Expedition Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been following it. Because just like even when Finding Bigfoot was up and running, I was watching every episode, and it was what it was. And Expedition Bigfoot. What's your take on Expedition Bigfoot? Because the reason I'm asking because they claim to show all what they show, and I have my opinion, and I'll share my take on this. But what's your take on Expedition Bigfoot?
Oh boy, so I like it because it's bringing awareness of the topic to the public, to the masses. But I think they're also playing up on the stereotypes of what cryptozoology is. And I think people need to realize they're not going to find Bigfoot on a TV show. It's about ratings. Right. It's not about finding anything truthful. It's not about presenting evidence that's real to the public. It's just about you getting your view. That's all it's about. So I think it's good in a way, but bad in a way too. It's doing a lot of disservice to what researchers like you and me and David and Melissa do.
Right. No, I'm glad you shared that.
Well, one thing I watch it basically for entertainment. Now, I do know sometimes, hopefully, some of the stuff they show, like some of the tracks and stuff, is actual footage from when they're out in the field. Mm-hmm. But when you got TV crews out there running around, they're running around with flashlights at nighttime. Yeah, that's ratings. Of course, they're going to play it up a little bit, but they're also setting a bad light in some ways too, because for those that are thinking about getting into it, you don't need them out there running around in the woods at nighttime with flashlights and towards every sound, because if they would have an encounter, could you provoke it?
Right.
Are they going to stand there and wait on you to catch up with them?
No.
People, they need to rationalize doing this. A lot of it's just for entertainment. I like watching the show, don't get me wrong. Plus, you get ideas too. They might do something on the show that you could incorporate in your investigation if you have that capability.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes for me. It goes both ways. They don't approach it right because I've always, through my 2 careers, I've always been trained people. You never run into a situation. Never ever run into a situation.
Right.
Bad things can happen from that.
Exactly.
Wait a minute, David. So you're telling me if I hear Bigfoot howl, I shouldn't run towards it like a typical horror movie idiot and do that?
What's another program? Mountain
Monsters.
Mountain Monsters. They're out there running around with guns and tell me those guns are loaded and they're out there driving around or running around in the woods. Oh, come on, it's entertainment.
There's one thing I like about Mountain Monsters, though. They do bring up the more obscure stuff. If it weren't for them, people wouldn't really know about like the Ravenmocker. Because when I brought it up, people were like, "Huh? What? Ravenmocker? What?" And then they're like, "Oh, wait, I heard about this on Mountain Monsters." I'm like, "Yeah, you did. Now let me tell you the truth."
It's also a double-edged sword on that because you got people that don't get out in the woods or they barely even leave what I call the concrete jungle, and they're watching programs like this. And when they encounter real people to go out and do research, they've already established this bias, thinking that these people may be what they're watching on TV. A correlation between the two.
Right.
That's another way I look at it too. I mean, I take everything with a grain of salt when I encounter people and stuff. But when we first got started with Daniel 4 or 5 years ago, we posted on Facebook. I mean, we've always had this interest. It's nothing new as far as that. The paranormal, the Bigfoot, and everything else from past experiences. But I've never had a Bigfoot encounter as far as that. I've always growing up been interested in that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when you post on social media, just to say what you're going to be getting involved with, and when you get 2 responses by private message, they didn't want to post on the general chat part. To me, that leads into more credence about people actually saying something they could not understand or explain.
Yes.
Right.
And they wanted to keep it on the down low, if that's the right terminology for that, to where they want to still keep it private, but they want to share their experience. And that opened my eyes a little bit too. And of course, we got to run around with Daniel and learned a lot from him and stuff out there and what he's doing. And every time we turn around and buy something, I got to buy it too. And I'm half broke at the time.
Thank you, Daniel. You started this.
Well, that's why I posted that funny meme earlier today. It's like, people think I'm rich because they see my Bigfoot research gear.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I mean, it's only because I'm not rich. I'm irresponsible.
We've always liked the outdoors and camping and stuff like that, and camaraderie. So I mean, it's multifaceted for us. Getting out with Daniel and meeting new people, plus the others as part of the team. Camp, enjoy each other's company and stuff like that. Have fun, but at the same time, you go out and do some research, and it's just multifaceted for us to be able to get out and do stuff like that. Just that's another element to get out and enjoy life a little bit.
There you go.
I mean, we've already come across things we really couldn't explain sometimes, sounds and stuff like that. I've been doing nighttime recordings.
Mm-hmm.
And then that one structure, the last camp out we did, Daniel took me on the back side of the campsite that we were at. And that one, we can't explain who would build this little bitty structure. It's too low for a hunter. It did not look like a hunter's blind. But all these leaves and were laying, branches was laying in one line facing in the same direction.
Wow.
Right.
But there's one thing we did not look at least I didn't think about that after the fact, is all of those, it was like a top of a canopy is what it was, real low to the ground.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really big enough to even put a deer in. Somebody was trying to hide a deer if they shot it. I mean, somebody wouldn't be that elaborate, building something like that, elaborate to be able to do something like that. But I did not look at the end of those branches that was laid side by side, straight lines, to see if they were cut or broken. Did you look at them, Daniel?
I was just gonna bring up. You could look at the video because I mean, they were clearly laid there by someone or something. For what reason we don't know, but I can promise you they were not cut. Yeah.
They were not cut. Okay, all right. I didn't think to look at that aspect of it until after the fact, and then it was too late. But did we check to see if it could have been cut with a knife or actually broken? Like broken like a twig, and then almost replaced going in the same direction. But interesting.
I feel like structures are often misinterpreted too. That everybody thinks, oh, it's a structure, it's automatically Bigfoot. But it's like survivalists make these things too, though. You have to look at the branches and the sticks it's made of. Were they cut clean or were they snapped off? If it's cut, it's probably not Bigfoot.
Well, the way these were laid, it was done by intelligence. The way these were laid, obviously.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying that everybody assumes every structure is a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But I've seen survivalists make very similar things. So I think we can't just jump to the conclusion right away. Oh, it's a Bigfoot that made these. We have to examine that before we can determine whether or not it's Bigfoot.
Work backwards.
Right, which a lot of people find these structures, regardless if they were cut or not, and most of these structures are not used with cut limbs and trees and branches. I see a lot of people post this stuff, and I actually, being the objective person that I am, I've actually posted. It's actually on my YouTube channel where I actually did a video presentation showing an individual gathering naturally fallen timber and branches and limbs from the ground to build his lean-to structure, and showing that my point was that, hey, this stuff was made by a human being. These things, because we can't assume Bigfoot made these, because we're not witnessing Bigfoot making these.
Right.
I mean, maybe there's some possibilities in instances. Maybe they are, but we're not there to witness it.
Sure.
I would like to believe that Bigfoot's making some of these, but we can't prove that. But it's always, as I tell people, it's always that possibility. Bigfoot should be our last conclusion.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
So, absolutely.
And find that definitive proof. Yeah.
Right. So. But yeah, I wanted to back up a little bit. The reason why I wanted to bring up Expedition Bigfoot, which I've only brought it up a couple times on all the previous podcasts. For those who are watching that show, and I myself, I'll admit, I love watching it. It's very entertaining, and with that being said, that's all it really is. Because people got to understand, when shows like this come about, that it's actually being produced by a major network. These are shows to entertain us, and the network is going to do and produce and conduct everything to keep the viewers watching us or watching the shows.
Make some money. They got to.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they're going to make money, they got to do what's possible. Yeah, I mean, they are producing stuff to where we're seeing it like, okay, yeah, they're examining stuff and they're producing all this. They're using high-tech stuff that's high-dollar stuff. The network's paying for this, not the people on their show.
Right.
The other thing is, I don't know if you guys seen any of this, but if you watch and pay attention to enough of this, they show the thermal images of these. Some of the thermal details that they show is showing human upright figures walking through the woods. There was a daytime video clip that I've seen where it actually showed two bipedal creatures in the background walking through the woods on one of them. So my thing is, anyone who's paying attention and capturing, seeing all this, okay, this is just showing clips and scenes of what was captured. Why isn't any of this captured? Or I mean, not shouldn't say captured, but why isn't this discussed and brought up and made into a bigger deal?
Right.
Look at the Patterson big. Even till this day, from 1967, Patterson footage is still a big deal up to this very day. Now we're capturing stuff that's on this show. Why aren't we talking about it? Why isn't it a big deal? Because
Good point.
Yeah. So the entertainment industry is showing what's necessary.
One of the cast members from one of the shows, I don't know if it's Finding Bigfoot or Expedition Bigfoot, but their cast member was an actor. He was in Willow Creek, Bob Goldthwait's film. So it's like, hold on, he's an actor. He knows how to act surprised and act excited. You guys aren't taking this into consideration?
Right. Well, look at Bryce. Bryce is a known actor on shows.
Yeah, that's the one.
He's Bryce. Okay, I got you. Okay.
Yeah,
Which one? Right.
Yeah, if you go into Willow Creek, he was the star of that movie.
Wow. I didn't pay attention to that. Wow.
Yeah, he was in Bobcat's
Wow.
film, yeah. And what's it
now
about?
They got the new guy. Yeah. Well, this guy Biko, whatever his name is, he's a new addition to the show.
Yeah.
The only little bit of information I know about Biko is that he was on the show called Alone.
Yep.
So I don't know. I've seen some of the comments. Like,
what happened to the other character that was on next to this Bigfoot? Since Biko's on there now.
Ronnie LeBlanc.
Oh, you talking about? Yeah, Ronnie. Yeah, Ronnie actually left on his own accord. Yeah, he left. He wasn't kicked out or nothing. That was his own doing.
So he left the program. Okay.
Yeah, it had something to do with some Daniel Lee Barnett over in the UK. That Gwen
exactly.
Wait, the little kid, Daniel?
Yeah. On and
yeah.
Like it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. 14-year-old Daniel Lee Barnett, really nice kid. I've been in conversations and discussions with him on and off, and he reached out to me about a week ago. Because he puts on. He just started last year. He started his own conference out there in the UK, and I guess his first one was okay. It wasn't a big turnout, but it was still a success regardless. However, he comes to the United States every so often. His father, his father and them, they take vacations. They go to Florida every year. Daniel actually reached out to me last week, or maybe it was a week before. But hey, I'm going to be in the U.S. and blah blah blah. He said, what would you think if I could come to your event? Hey, I was like, hey, great, that'd be great. You're more than welcome. But then he started pushing himself, like he wanted to be a speaker. I said, my speakers are already. I'm already booked on speakers. Blah blah blah. Then he was still trying to push himself as a speaker. He's like, yeah, my fee. He says, yeah. He said, we could talk about my fee and this and that. Then I would have to have something for my father. I said, Daniel, he's autistic, so
yeah,
he's one of those kind of people you need to be direct with him. Because I don't care if you're autistic or not. I got nieces and nephews that are autistic. I don't look down on them because they're autistic. I speak to them like they're normal people, and I don't look at them. This is me. This is just me. Because you're autistic, you're very smart. You know what I'm saying, so I'm going to tell you like it is. But I was trying to be nice. Yeah, he was trying to push himself in there to be one of my speakers. And I said, I don't have room for you. I said, you can come to my event all you want. I said, I can't put you on the speaker list, and only for the fact that, like I said, if anything, I could put you on my Friday. I said I got space on my Friday slot. On my speakers are mainly scheduled for Saturday. I said I got 1 or 2 spots open for Saturday for the Friday. Blah blah blah. But he said, yeah. Then he kept trying to push himself, and he's like, yeah, my fee. He said, we could talk about my fee later. But I said, Daniel, I said I don't have time for you. I said, I had to tell him straight up. Young kid. I get that. I deal with a lot of young kids. But I know all about autism. I said I don't look at that as a disability of some situation. I said I told him. I said I don't have money for you. I don't. I said you're not in my budget. I said I don't. I said my budget's pushed to the limit already. So anyway, I went on to tell him. I finally got the point across to him. He's like, oh, I understand. I said you're welcome to come up if you're going to be in the area. Come up to my event and attend. You're more than welcome. I'm not denying you that. It's just I can't pay for nothing. I said I don't have money for lodging, and I don't have a fee to cover you or your father, because that's what he was trying to push, a fee for him and a separate fee for his father. No, it don't work. It doesn't work that way. I said you don't push your way in and try to get me to pay something that, I'm not agreeing to. So. I don't know. That's basically what he was doing. I said, I know people feel bad for him because he's autistic. I don't feel bad for autistic people. They're smart. They're not idiots. I mean, because I have I have a niece and a nephew that are both autistic. There are different types of autism. One's more extreme than the other, but I'm very familiar with autism. I know how it works. Daniel Lee Barnett is not stupid. He's very smart. So. But
I think it's wholesome, though. I think it's very wholesome that he's so into cryptozoology.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that was a big deal with what was the gentleman's name we brought up from the former
Ronnie
say it
LeBlanc.
again. Yeah, Ronnie LeBlanc. Now, I've been in discussions with Ronnie LeBlanc. Yeah, he's from Massachusetts and he wanted to come down to my event. He was he emailed me presenting, hey, if he was throwing out his fees. If I was just a 10, $3,000. If I speak, it was over $5,000. I said, man, that'd be great, but I don't have a budget for you. Like I don't. I was being honest with him too. I was like, yeah, it'd be great to have you. I think you would be a great, asset to have to my event. But I was being honest. I said, I don't have budgets like these other commercialized events. I said, I'm a low budget. Blah blah blah. I said, I would love to have you, but I said, I don't have I don't have the money for you. So hey, he was clear. He was understanding. But yeah, he presented himself. He knew about me. He used to be on my Facebook page, but you know what? He blocked me. He blocked me because he used to post a lot of shit on his page, promoting some bogus bullshit. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not afraid of. He was promoting stuff and putting out these images that were clearly BS. And I would used to comment under it. He didn't like my comments because I would show stuff to prove otherwise, to prove it differently. Oh my, yeah, he didn't like that, so it kind of shut me down against him. So he blocked me from my comments.
A lot of
I
people
can't
are
help
doing
it.
that nowadays. A lot of the the supposed researchers are posting BS and going, "Oh, it's real."
They want the attention. They want the credibility. You're not going to get credibility from posting bullshit, fake shit, unless because. But then again, these people, they know that a majority of people on Facebook and social media are gullible and going to believe anything you post. Correct. Because you were on a TV show. Excuse me. Exactly. I'm sorry, but fuck you.
Nice.
I don't care what show you were on. It doesn't give you credibility. I mean, that's my opinion. You can be a Hollywood movie star. It's not going to give you credibility. I don't bow down like that.
Yeah, Todd Stanley came at me with that one time too, telling me, "Well, I was on a TV show." So I told him, "Well, gaze upon the field which I harvest my fucks, and notice it is barren." He didn't like that too much.
No, who is this now?
Todd Standing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because I called him a fraud right in his comments. I was like, "You're such a fraud, dude."
Well, I mean, you remember it was just I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, give or take. Wasn't he trying to go to the courts and try to prove Bigfoot's existence, that he was whatever, he supposedly had some DNA to prove otherwise, but the courts didn't want to hear him?
Yeah, so he claims.
Yeah.
He got laughed out of court, though. He won't tell you that much.
I mean, I would love for somebody to come out and show something like that. I don't care if Bigfoot got proven to be an extinct species. I mean, a lot of us know that he does exist, but to take it to court, yeah, I would love for Bigfoot to become known as an extinct species for many reasons. But the main reason is to shut people up.
Yes.
The skeptic, just like any other cryptid that people want to put out there. I mean, to many people, Bigfoot, the subject of Bigfoot alone is a laughing subject to so many people.
It shouldn't be, though. Daniel, it really shouldn't be. And like I tell so many people, you laugh at the possibility of cryptids like Bigfoot or Chupacabra or something along those lines, but some known animals that we know these days were once considered cryptids. Case in point, mountain gorillas. Mountain gorillas were once considered cryptids. The okapi.
Oh, yeah.
The platypus, the panda bear. Those were all considered cryptids many years ago. And look, lo and behold, they're proven to be real. You can see them in your local zoo. So people shouldn't laugh at cryptids at all. The concept of cryptids shouldn't be laughable by any means.
Exactly. I mean, they don't see. That's the thing. They don't know the history of what we know today.
Right.
I mean, it was back in the 40s, 1950s. People in the United States, when they first started seeing these, when gorillas were starting seeing, they were like, oh, these are like large human-like looking creatures.
Yep.
But that was, the history of gorillas. Just gorillas alone, I mean, They were like human creatures.
I think it's because there's so many stories attached. Like with the Bigfoot stories and the Dogman stories, it takes on a very supernatural feel. And that's fine and dandy, but they shouldn't laugh at it because, once upon a time, there was natives telling the scientists, oh, there's this creature that has fur, has a duck bill, but it lays eggs. And they're going, ha, 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 a fur-bearing mammal that lays eggs. And then lo and behold, duck-billed platypus is a real thing. So it's like, see, they thought that was a supernatural thing too, and it didn't exist. And here it is, a very, very real thing.
Exactly. I mean,
another problem you got nowadays is too that everything is so daggone fast paced these last 10 to 15 years that people don't have time to sit back, relax, and take life for what it is because they're too tied up into their electronics, their phones, and everything else. And if you try to take them out of their norm, then they don't want to be taken out of their norm. If you take them out of their norm, their life's going to be turned upside down, and they don't want to have the possibility of facing that.
Right. Exactly.
Just like the government and UFOs now. I mean, when they was having those congressional hearings and stuff pertaining to UFOs, people don't want to be taken out of the norm. I mean, it was taboo 50 years ago and Roswell and all that other stuff, and now they're talking about it. It's like it's trying to feed information now is what it's trying to. So when the day does come to where possibly that's going to come to light to where they are real and they're here. Aliens and so on and so forth, and maybe people may not panic like they did when Orson Welles played his radio show back in the 50s.
The War of the Worlds.
But I mean, people don't want to be taken out of their norm. They don't want to get off the couch. They don't want to put down that daggone phone. They don't go out and enjoy wildlife and experience, life for what it has to offer. And it's a shame, I think,
I don't see they can live without it. I mean, if I don't go into the woods at least once a week, I'm just going crazy.
Yeah, I wish I get out more than that, but now it's wintertime.
But before anybody says, "Oh, there's no woods in Arizona," yes, there are. There's plenty of them. Trust me, there's plenty. We have the Mogollon Rim, and the Mogollon Rim has the Mogollon Monster, which is a Bigfoot. So,
Wow.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. You bring that up because there was an old. Oh my gosh, I wish I remembered the poor guy's name. He's a much older gentleman. He had passed away some years ago. He was big into the Mogollon Monster. That he did a lot of research on. Yeah, I wish I remembered the poor guy's name. I spoke to him once or twice in the past. He may have even been on an old podcast some years ago of mine, but I know a good friend of mine that lives in Texas. Nikki Cologne, she's actually done some research with him or interviewed him herself. But yeah, I really believe that he was on something. Yeah, I think he was from. Man, I wish I remember his name. It's sad that I can't remember certain names. He was an old timer, been around for a long time, and but yeah, again, he had passed away some years ago. But he was very much involved with that. So yeah. I can't remember his name.
Ryan, do you research independent? Do you have a group or groups, or do you belong to any groups you go out with, or are you just independent and doing what
independent?
You do?
I prefer to go out independently because too many people mess around. And when I do my research, I'm very, very serious about it. I don't want people ruining things. I don't want people creating, hoaxes or whatever. I just want to do my thing and see if I can find some evidence. So I'll occasionally take a friend with me if I can trust that friend. But usually it's independent.
Well, that's what Daniel does with the camp out. So we pretty much keep it quiet. That people know there's a camp out coming up, and nobody knows where we're going to be and stuff like that. And until they get with Daniel, and maybe be invited after that part. So I mean, that's the way I like to keep it too. That way you don't have the coming out there.
I've been fortunate. Some of my friends are very open-minded and they're very supportive. So because I'm into it, they're into it as well, and they know I'm very serious. So, they'll ask questions on what to look for, and they'll show me stuff that they think might be evidence. So I have lucked out with some really good friends. And I'll take
that's good.
Yeah, I'll take them with me, and, they're very excited to be there. So once in a while, I'll be like, hey, you guys want to go? Most of the time I go by myself, though.
Right. But see, like what David was saying, I'm just kind of starting to, I've been doing the group campouts for some years now. And, I'll message people now. I'm at the point where I don't want to advertise that, hey, I got a group camp out coming up and such. I'll invite people privately now.
Smart move.
Yeah, I mean, I want to promote to bring other people in there because at the same time, I want to be able to educate people. There's people that don't get out that much, and that want to get involved with this, and I'm all for them. I'm pretty open much to welcome anybody that wants to get involved, But so yeah, if somebody wants to sign, that's why I was charging a fee for people to come out. And the reason behind that, because a lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't charge people to come out. I do it because I feel like it helps eliminate the possible hoaxer. Like, will a hoaxer pay this money to come out there and hoax? I mean, that's the way I look at it. That's the only reason I was charging a fee for certain people.
So you kind of charge like that one guy. What's his name? Dr. Something, who thinks of Bigfoot, or the Xanu.
I'm not sure who's that.
I forgot what his name is, but he thinks that Bigfoot are a type of alien or whatever, and that the X structures we find are because they're known as Xanu. It's just it's weird stuff, man. Once you get down that rabbit hole, you're gonna be like, oh, good Lord, what have I done?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I'm not either.
I'll send you some stuff on Facebook, Daniel, but oh my goodness, his followers are so devoted. Yeah, there's supposed to be two different type of Bigfoot. One's the Xanu, and I forgot the other one's called. But yeah, that's why they leave the X structures, because they're leaving their name, their calling card. And I'm just going, oh, good Lord, come on, stop with this already.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because one of my speakers that I have for June this year, I know this guy. I met him. I've had him like when I was up in Pennsylvania. I met him in person. I've heard his stories on a few occasions. I've actually, when I hosted small events up there, I had him at speaking at these small engagements, and then when I hosted my big event up there, he was also one of my speakers. Now he has claimed. I feel he is legit. However, he has UFO experiences very up close, but at the same time, but he's also a Bigfoot eyewitness, and he's actually brought me and my old girlfriend to the locations where he's actually witnessed and seen the Bigfoot. But with that being said, I mean, he believes that Bigfoot is not of this earth. So I mean, now, that's not the first time I've heard of such a thing, but So anyway, I'm curious. Like I said, he's going to be one of my speakers in June. His name is John, and again, he's from Pennsylvania. Now, I can tell you for firsthand experience, I know Pennsylvania has some weird stuff up there. I've seen some weird things for myself. I can't really explain yet. But so it is what it is. I'm not going to say I was seeing things because I saw what I saw and I know what I saw. I just, I've never seen what I've seen up there. I've never seen anywhere else, like these weird flashing lights in the woods on more than one occasions up there. So I don't know what I was seeing, but it was crazy.
With UFOs being seen alongside Bigfoot, that's something we can't ignore. We're doing another disservice if we just ignore that. But I don't think that Bigfoot are extraterrestrials. I don't buy into that theory completely.
Right. I agree. I think right off the top of my head, I think it's just a coincidence that these aircraft happen to be spotted near where Bigfoot's being seen. So
yeah, coincidences do happen.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But to prove it otherwise, who knows?
Sure. I mean, we might all be wrong. With all the theories we have, who knows? Maybe one day we'll find a real Bigfoot and we'll be like, "Oh crap, we were all wrong. Every single one of us. Our theory isn't valid." How about that?
Well, hopefully that Bigfoot can speak. Hopefully he can speak English to us, and we could talk him. Like, where are you from? I am from the planet Neptune. I don't know. Or Krypton.
That Dr. Xanu that you were talking about, that Dr. Xanu, it's Dr. Matthew A. Johnson.
That's the one.
Oh my, Matthew Johnson. Oh my goodness, that's a whole different subject in itself. I know him.
I went down that rabbit hole, and thank God I tied that rope around my waist because I climbed right out of it. I was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. See ya.
Oh, are you familiar?
Amazon.
Oh, talk about Matthew Johnson. Oh my gosh, he's a psychologist.
Yeah.
That's where he gets his doctorate degree. He's a psychologist. But that same individual, I don't know how much of a history you guys know on him, but Matthew Johnson is the same guy that claimed to have the portals on his property and the watchers and the portal keepers and the guardians. And he even convinced one of his followers that, hey, stop taking your medication. Bigfoot will heal your prostate or whatever issue you have. Because he claims that Bigfoot healed his prostate. And there's one guy that was convinced so much, stopped taking his heart medication, ended up dying some years, not long after stopped taking his medication.
Oh my
God!
Like a cult leader, huh?
Yeah,
he basically that's basically that's the way I looked at it. He became a cult leader.
Yep.
I mean,
well, it's a great minds think alike. We said the same thing at the same time.
But yeah, that's the truth behind Matthew Johnson, Dr. Matthew Johnson. Yeah, he convinced people not stop taking medicine.
You guys, you could have warned me about this before I dived down that rabbit hole because I climbed out going, "What the hell?" I was so confused and dizzied by it. I'm like, yeah, I just don't want to touch this with a 20-foot pole anymore, man. See ya.
Well, it sounds like you survived though. You're still alive, Ryan.
Yeah, but you know what? I had an Excedrin migraine, man. I had the biggest headache ever, and I was going, "Oh my god, people are crazy."
Wow.
Really
I mean,
yeah, but what kind of evidence does he produce, or is he just talking about it and writing books?
Oh, he's just talking about it, and he had people convinced so much that he had people convinced so much that he had one guy quit his medication for his heart. Like, hey, he convinced people that they will heal you. I mean, Matthew Johnson claimed that. Yeah, Matthew Johnson claimed that they healed his prostate.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he has at least one book on Amazon.
Wow.
I haven't looked to see if there's any more, but he's got at least one book on Amazon called The Xanu.
Okay, either he's been quiet for quite some time or he blocked me. I don't know. I haven't even seen his posts or anything for a long time. So
he totally blocked me. He totally blocked me because I asked him.
It's yours.
I asked him, "Do the Xanu talk to the Vulcans at all?" And he got so mad at me. He blocked me. I was like, "Yes,
scissors."
Yeah. So I haven't even looked. I forgot all about him because if he's still around, either he blocked me because I don't see no post from him. The last thing I can recall is that he had this long giant turd going across the tailgate of a truck.
Yep.
That supposedly came from a Bigfoot.
Yep. That's what he was claiming. Yes.
Yeah. So that was the last thing I can recall or remember seeing from him. So I was like, "Are you serious?" I mean,
how ironic, Daniel. The last thing you saw from him was shit.
Yeah. Exactly. A big long turd going across the tailgate of a pickup truck.
That says it all right there.
And they wonder why we have people that have trouble leaving or getting involved with what we try to go out and research.
Yep.
All the skeptics and non-believers.
Well, I mean, when you have people like Peter Kane being held up as researchers, that's when you get to stop and go, "Wait a minute, Peter Kane, the dog trainer? What?"
I know. Yeah, that's another. If there's people believing that stuff from Peter Kane, excuse me, that's unbelievable.
Oh, they absolutely do. I had a dude on Instagram. He sent me like 40 videos from Peter Kane, and he's telling me, "You'll never be the researcher this guy is. He has evidence that you'll never have." And I'm just sitting there going, "Dude, he made that costume, bro. He's an artist. That's what he does."
Well, that and look at the frozen. Oh, I'm not familiar with the costume he had, but I know Peter Kane also had a frozen Bigfoot head.
Yep. He had a frozen body. He had the hands, the feet.
He does what he does for YouTube views because he makes money off his YouTube, like many of us. I have a monetized YouTube channel, but I don't produce content all the time to get the views that I would love to have. But I have 3,900 subscribers. Man, I would love to have some money made off of my YouTube channel. It would help me out tremendously.
Heck yeah.
But I mean, these are people that got big time 1,000 views. You know, I mean, there's people producing content just to get the views constantly. I don't have the ability right now to constantly put stuff out on my YouTube channel. But you know, I mean, I used to do my old podcasts were on my YouTube channel where I did the live video podcast, and then I have a lot of my field videos. me out there exploring, find some. And a lot of people appreciated what I did, but at the same time, there's some people like, oh, you're not showing Bigfoot. What, I was like, how am I supposed to show Bigfoot? I said, all the videos you watch show Bigfoot is bullshit,
Right. It's like if I was going to show Bigfoot, would I be on YouTube? No, I'd be proving it to scientists saying, here he is. Look, it's a Bigfoot.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I can only show so much on my YouTube videos. I mean, I show interesting things I come across and find, but I'm never going to claim that I have Bigfoot on my videos unless I know definitively that I've actually witnessed me seeing him and like, hey, look, there he is right there. I've not once ever come across claim that. Right. So I would love to find Bigfoot and show him on my videos. I really would.
Me too. I mean, I'd be making, multiple videos going, yep, this is him. Look here's him from the front. Here's him from the side. Here's him from above. All different angles for you to check out, but it's not going to happen that way.
Well, nowadays there's AI.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. AI. AI is awful. But I do have people watching, looking at some of my old content and sharing stuff with me. Like, look, right here, right after you said you heard something moving nearby. Look right in. They'll give me a timestamp on my videos. I say, okay, maybe I need to pull this up on my laptop because I'm not seeing nothing.
Posted that before on his podcast.
But that demonstrates what we need, though. We need that community where everybody's looking and watching our videos to point stuff out that we might have missed. That's exactly what you're
right.
Why we never see them.
Now there was one of my old field videos, which after reviewing it, I almost fooled myself. It took me a while to get this down pat, but in one of my videos, you watch in the background, and it up behind me kind of goes uphill, and it clearly shows what looked like a small, probably 4 to 5 feet tall humanoid figure going from behind a tree. Yeah, it looks like a humanoid figure going from behind a tree, running across, jumping behind another tree. I've captured this myself, and I was like, "You got to be shitting me." I started looking at this, and I slowed it down. I pulled it up on my laptop, and of course, when you're on your laptop and you're on YouTube, if you know how to use YouTube, you have the ability to slow things way down. Yep. And sure enough, I did that, and guess what I discovered? It was a leaf on a tree limb, dangling, really slow, and I captured that, and I saw it very clear. I think, oh, well, that's a disappointment, but at least I know the truth about this now, because it was right. It was an angle that I was moving in. I was barely moving, but it was enough to where that's exactly what it looked like. It looked like something running, going from behind one tree to another, and it looked like it went behind another tree. It was a leaf dangling on a limb or a branch up behind me in the distance. Yeah. And I was like, man, I'm glad I figured that out before somebody else says, hey, you had one running behind you in the field. No. But I love debunking my own shit.
You have to. You absolutely have to. That's what honest researchers do.
Yep.
But now a lot of people don't realize, like, for example, there's some of my old video footage where people claim to have seen something. I say, okay, in some instances, maybe there's that possibility there really is something here. But with the old, like a lot of my video footage comes from my camera phone, using an old video camera or a camera phone. And when you upload, a lot of people don't realize this, unless you've got really good Wi-Fi, when you upload stuff to YouTube, unless you're uploading in a high def setting, a lot of your video footage will become distorted. It's being uploaded to a lower quality image. So you're going to have some pixelation. You're going to have distortion. So a lot of your stuff in the background is not going to be as clear as what you're recording as. So a lot of people don't understand that. Again, you have to upload into. I mean, I don't care. Like right now, my gear has improved. I've got much better quality stuff nowadays. But you have to have good Wi-Fi to upload into a high definition, quality.
Absolutely.
So,
well, you talking HD or are you talking 4K?
Oh, either one. Like YouTube doesn't give you the option to upload in 4K. It gives you high def ability, but so I mean, if you got good Wi-Fi or good internet service, yeah, it's gonna give you a better quality image. But like with me, I'm speaking more or less on for me personally, and I know I've seen this on other people's videos. I know they're uploading stuff at low quality. If I have good Wi-Fi, yes, I could upload a better image and better quality scenery. But unfortunately, like I could record off of 4K now. My video footage does look a lot better, but even though once you get to YouTube, once it's on YouTube, it's not always going to show the clearest, So
that's true.
You do know on YouTube you got to select your settings too, right, to view it.
Right. That's the thing. I can change. I can select the settings, but it's kind of like with my Wi-Fi. Like usually, I tend to have a weak, slow Wi-Fi, so it's going to take a long time. It's going to eat up everything I got. So that's where I personally, I'm limited on how I can upload stuff. But
you mentioned that before, yeah.
Now I could go. I mean, I guess I could go somewhere to a restaurant or a store that offers free Wi-Fi, and I can upload that way, where it doesn't eat up my data. So, because like right now, like we're doing this show right now, I'm using my phone's data. I'm using like the recording. Yeah. So, which it does. I mean, it works out great.
You don't have internet at your house, do you?
No, not here. No, like I got Verizon and I got good signal right now because everything's renewed since you guys know I've been out of work for over a month. So, and I was able to just recently renew my everything. So my data's been reset. So, yeah. But,
very cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now, like this is going to be all audio when people listening to this on the radio platform. So I'm not worried about the video footage. That's why I got my camera turned off right now because they're not going to see what we're doing. So yeah,
I'll get off my soapbox and not complain about certain people though.
Like nobody's going to see David in his apron right now. So
Daniel, dagnabbit.
So wait a minute, Daniel.
Get out of the house.
We were all doing those blue gestures for absolutely nothing. Bummer.
Yeah, just to let you know, Ryan, David likes to wear his apron with nothing on, just for the entertainment to his own wife. I'll give Ryan a little backfill of why I'm joking about the apron thing. Ryan has no idea why I talk about the apron. David's retired and he works with his wife Melissa at Krispy Kreme. You guys got Krispy Kreme out there?
Yeah, we do. Well, we used to anyway.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's still there or if it's relocated, but we had one.
Oh, yeah. So I ever since I came into where they worked and I ran into them while they were both working, I started joking with David because hey, he was working making the donuts, he was wearing an apron, so so I joke with him ever since. Talking about him being a manly man wearing an apron. So
David's pretty much the Krispy Kreme version of the Dunkin' Donuts guy. Time to make the donuts.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have a little bit of intellect here. Come on, guys. I retired from the Army after 21 years. I retired from the local sheriff's office. That's behind me, so I can get out 2 days a week, just work it, make a little bit of extra play money. I'm just not one of them fly-by-night guys out there that go from job to job. So I've retired twice already.
No, that's not you, David. That's me. No, let me stop. But come May, I want to see you wearing that apron when you're cooking, David.
It ain't gonna happen. Nope.
But I bought you a customized apron with a Bigfoot on it with a donut.
Oh my God.
We're embarrassed about that.
Oh Lord. So just to give you a backfill, Ryan, story. Yeah, we're crazy, Dave, Ryan. So
I can tell you're my kind of people.
Yeah, we love to joke and cut up. So that's who we are.
That's how it should be.
Yeah,
If you can't have comedy and make fun of each other, there's something wrong.
Exactly.
We're all like an extended family right now.
Right.
That's what it
Oh,
feels
for sure.
Like.
There you
Feels
go.
like Daniel's my baby brother.
Exactly.
See, that's what I love about the community, though, is you do make some really good friends. You make some lifelong friends, and that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, back when I was asking you if you travel, I mean, I know it would probably be impossible for you to do it this year, but maybe that's something you can consider next year.
Oh yeah, definitely next year. I can definitely save up for that and get to traveling again. It'd be nice.
Because one of the things I've actually been thinking about it, and I haven't told David and Melissa this, but one of the things for next year's event, because I host the annual ECBRO Virginia Bigfoot Conference every year,
right?
And I kind of hate to do this in June, but with our event, I hold my event every June.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I consider doing a camp out in June, leading up to just prior to the event itself. Only because I might advertise this as I don't know. I just thought about trying this for the first time to see how it works out. The reason I hate to do this in June because it would just probably be too hot. I usually do May and then September, like a spring and fall event, for campouts. But it's been presented to me in the past, like, hey, why don't you do a group camp out expedition for and do a sign up thing and charge people around for around your event. I think, well, the only issue I have with that would be it would be very hot, but
No, don't talk to me about hot. I'm in Arizona, so it'd be like 113 for me. Talk about hot.
Well, that's probably a dry heat for you out there, ain't it? Or is that actually humid?
Yeah. The weather's been kind of crazy here, actually, because we had the really cold weather where the days were cold, the nights were cold. Then all of a sudden, it's hot in the morning. I mean, just the other day, I went out to go have my first cup of coffee, and I stepped outside, and I'm like, oh, man, what the hell? It's hot out here today. It was like 20 last night. Now it's like 80 degrees right now. I'm going back inside.
Wow. Well, yeah, it's strange here a little bit on the East Coast for us because, like this morning, my grandson had a 2-hour delay to school, so I didn't have to get him there till I leave here by 9:30 in the morning today. And it started off. It was just above freezing. It was 33 degrees when I left to go to bring him to school.
Good.
But it reached about almost 50 degrees later in the day. So I was like, wow, this is weird. Because, we had freezing. Like when I brought him to school, you could see the ice on the trees on the way to school. So there was some ice. We had the freezing rain. And then, I don't know. It's weird because the temperatures this week are fluctuating up and down, up and down, up and down. And we're supposed to get some snow going into next week. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to follow what's going on here.
And they say global warming isn't a thing, huh?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But so as far as the camp out thing, I'm considering doing something maybe in June before the event, just to see how I might try. I'm thinking about it to see if it works out or not, because there's people that want to get involved with my events that want to go on an expedition, but that's why I promote them. Well, I haven't promoting them. I keep it private now, but yeah, like I said, I do one in spring and I do one in fall. And the reason I do them around those times of the year is because based off of my research and my experiences in the field by myself, I have gotten the most activity during these times of years because spring, early to mid spring, you're going to get, you get a lot of activity because the temperatures are not cold, but they're not so hot either. They're more comfortable.
Right.
The same thing with early to mid spring. It's fall. Same thing. You get some warm temperatures, but it doesn't get extremely cold. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure something out, but I may still do the May camp out. Like I try to do something every May and every September, but I might try to do something for a few days in next June. I don't know. I got plenty of time to plan that. Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm gonna try to figure that out. Like I said, I mean, I've had someone not long ago bring that up to me. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll kind of play it by ear. But yeah, like I said, we got our group camp out coming up in May. It's May 18th through the 24th. And the location we're going to be in is where we were back in October.
Nice.
I don't know why. I don't know why I chose October when we normally try to do September, but October for some reason. I don't know. I thought it was different.
Yeah, it was a little cold.
Yeah.
But we did.
Yeah, we had some very cold temps in October. It got down to like 20s, teens.
We went through some fire.
Now, during the day, it wasn't too bad. I mean, we had some.
Boy, you start getting the sun going down and getting in them shadows, it's cool off quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it got down.
It was fun. It wasn't miserable. Everybody still enjoyed themselves. It was fun. I mean, that was something different, you know.
Yeah, you take your glasses off at night to go to sleep on your cot in your tent, and you wake up and there's a film of ice on your glasses.
Good grief. Wow. Man, that is cold. I'm getting cold just thinking about that.
Well, you know what I did? Like, I wear glasses too, so I take my contacts out at night, you know, where I have my regular glasses I flip on. But when I go to bed, I had my my beanie, the hat. If I wear a beanie, I would slip my glasses inside the beanie or something to keep it And I did the same thing with my phone because, you know, even though I turn my phone off at night out there at camp, I don't want it being exposed directly to the cold air. So I'll put my glasses and my phone inside my beanie, you know, to kind of keep it from getting that direct, really cold air, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
I played smart.
I didn't get that memo.
I played smart every morning. I was listening for Daniel to get his butt up, and he was over there making the fire. And once he got the fire done, I'd come out of my tent and into the fire.
Yeah, I'm like that Native American. They call me the fire starter.
So your Native American name is Plays with Matches?
Yeah. Light it up, baby. Burn, baby, burn. Exactly. Oh, man. So I got to ask you, Ryan. I know you've been on social media almost as long as I have, if not longer. And you're in a lot of these different groups that, you know, I'm sure I've been in so many over the years. I've left a lot of them. Either I left a lot of them on my own or I've been kicked out of them. But because of shit I share, I'm an open book. I share things very bluntly sometimes. And I used to be very bad about it, but I chilled out over the years. But with that being said, you know, I know you're in as many groups as I am. And so my question to you is with, you know, I don't know. I guess that was the best way to say this. I kind of asked this question earlier, but what's the most craziest? Well, what would you consider something very extreme as far as a claim that you felt that was incredible? So
there's two that come to mind instantaneously, and they're both nuts. So buckle up when you hear this one. One guy, right? He claimed that his dad worked for a certain section of the government. Wouldn't say which one. And he claims that one day his dad came home from work with a sack, right? And inside this sack was a Dogman puppy. So
oh my gosh.
He raised this baby Dogman, and as it grew up, it was his protector, his bodyguard. It ended up killing like 3 or 4 Gugwe. It killed like 6 rakes. It killed a Wendigo. It killed a Skinwalker. It killed a Jersey Devil. And supposedly his dad made this like steel gauntlet of claws for this Dogman. So basically, it was a Dogman Wolverine where, you know, snicked. You know, so I thought that was so absurd. But this guy, he goes on to tell the story of how the Dogman got killed defending him from something, and he will let nobody see the grave. And I keep trying to talk to him like, dude, if you really had a Dogman and you buried him on your property, why not just show us the body and shut us all up? Right there, you have the proof that it really happened, that you had a Dogman pup that you raised, that he got killed the way that you said he did, and there's his body. You could shut us all down, and you'd be the guy that walks out triumphant because you were telling the truth. But he will not let anybody onto the property, not a single person. So then there's this other guy. He claimed he had a romantic relationship with a female Dogman. I'm not going to go into I won't go into details and tell you what this romance included, but you can imagine. You can let your imaginations run wild with it, and anything your imagination comes up with, I'll just say, yes, that supposedly happened too. So there's some crazy stuff out there.
Wow. So their romance was all doggy style, I take it.
We don't need any of those kind on the camp out, that's for sure.
No.
I guess you could say he gave that dog a bone. Wow.
Wow.
It's disgusting, and I don't know why people romanticize this stuff so much. I think it's a sign of mental illness in some of them. I'm not trying to be mean.
No, I agree. I mean, I've heard some crazy stuff along the way here and there, but yeah, I usually let it go in one ear and out the other. But
there was some channel that was telling some lady's story where allegedly she had Bigfoot's love child. What? That really?
Yeah. Wow. That's a tabloid kind of thing. I would take it.
You would think, but I mean, if you listen to the video, Daniel, it's so detailed, but you're just sitting there going, okay, I know it's not true, but what kind of sick mind comes up with this kind of stuff? I mean, what frame of mind are you in to think of the story? I'll tell people I had Bigfoot's baby.
Right. I think I hear a dog man in the background.
That's a baby dog man. Female.
So it's a dog lady.
Wow.
I don't know why I'm yelling more in the mic right here on me.
So I've heard some crazy stuff though, Daniel, and I get to the point where it's just like if I hear or even whiff any craziness involved in the story, I just shut them down and I tell them, you know what? I'm not interested in hearing this. Sorry, go on to the next person.
Right. Wow. Oh, I can't remember the woman's name. You might know who I'm talking about. I don't know. You probably heard as much as I've heard over the years, but there was one where the woman supposedly allowed Bigfoot to come into her basement. She, the Bigfoot used to shit in their basement around the litter box or something.
I do remember that story. Yes. Oh my God.
I can't remember her name, but a lot of people looked up to her as being legit.
Yep.
Yep.
I think
that was another one.
It's reached that. People can create these fantastical stories and people will just eat it up. They'll devour it and gobble it up and follow this person and revere them. And it's like, but why? Are you not stopping to think that maybe they're lying to you, that they're feeding off of your attention?
Exactly. Or maybe they had these people making these claims had these bizarre dreams and it felt like a reality to them,
Yeah, I mean, I had one lady tell me, she was from the UK, by the way. She lived in Liverpool, and she would send me these photos of this smoke trail from her incense, and she would tell me, "Oh, that's Bigfoot sneaking into my house."
Oh my gosh!
Smoke though? Well, yeah, it dematerializes and it wafts up from the street and it creeps in through the cracks in my doorway and it sneaks into my house.
Wow!
Yeah, she even showed me a footprint in the pavement, and she said that Bigfoot melted the pavement because Bigfoot is radioactive.
Wow!
And I'm like, oh boy.
Nah, I have, I've heard a lot of crazy stuff myself. I mean, there's a lot that I don't underestimate when it comes to Bigfoot himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I believe that they are highly intelligent, and
I agree.
I mean, just like our known species of primates. I mean, it's been proven that they use various things for tools.
Sure. One story that I have a hard time believing is the little kid that went missing, and later the kid was brought back and said that a bear took care of him.
Oh yes, I know. I did. I actually added a post about this in my blog site. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Okay, so then you're aware that the family had a friend named Bear.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but people are saying, oh no, it's not true. They didn't have a friend named Bear. It was Bigfoot that took the kid and took care of the kid and then brought it back. And I'm like, well, why would Bigfoot bring it back though? If it's got a kid, I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm going to go and bring this kid back, even though I have no idea where you live. I'm still going to bring you back. I mean, something like Bigfoot would be like, oh, easy food. Yoink. I'm out of here.
Now, I do take one thing I'll back up on. Now, the one thing I was not aware of is that the family had a friend that they referred to or called Bear.
Yeah.
That I was not aware of. Now, when the story was like, Yeah, it was a mysterious story because it was weird. Because they got taken in so many different directions. But
Mm-hmm.
the way I looked at it too was like, okay, it was. I don't know. I didn't know where to stand on this because of course, the boy's claim was, yeah, bear. It was a bear. He was
Mm-hmm.
gone for what, 3 or 4 days,
Yeah.
and reappeared. Yeah, and he looked like he was out in the woods. He wasn't cleansed or nothing, but
Right.
but so the thing is, the boy he was a young child, and his understanding of a bear was a bear, and not knowing like, hey, could it have been a Bigfoot? Because I mean, the thing is, I don't recall. Like now that you bring that up, I wasn't aware of that because. But the question that jumps up into my mind right now is, why did this guy keep him for 3 or 4 days, or not return him right away? I mean,
Well, from what I got, the friend has a mental condition. He's mentally ill. I don't know if it's Down syndrome or what. So maybe he just didn't know the right thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of the stories get convoluted. I mean, remember when the little kid was killed by pit bulls a couple years back? He was dragged up a hill.
Wait, what was it about? I'm not familiar with this one.
Okay, so there's a little boy that was killed not too far from his house, and he was dragged up the hill, and instantly everybody's jumping on it saying that a dog man killed this little boy. Now, I have friends that looked into it, and they were saying, no, it wasn't a dog man. It was pit bulls that actually got out, and they got a hold of this boy. And yeah, unfortunately, they killed a small kid. And it got so bad, Daniel. It got so bad with the dogman stuff because people were making videos after videos after videos about it. People were making all these posts saying the dogman killed this little boy. The little boy's mom actually went into some of these groups and she was begging everybody, please stop, for the love of God. My 7-year-old boy was killed not by a dogman, but by an actual pack of dogs. And you guys are using his death to make views for your YouTubes. Stop doing this. And they kept doing it, Daniel.
Wow. That's sad.
I thought it was disgusting. I actually made a post a long time back, and I took a lot of heat for it because even some of my friends were making videos of it. And I told them, you all are disgusting. The mom had to come forward during her time of grieving to stop you guys from spreading lies about her boy's death. There's something wrong with it. When you're more worried about views and morality, you need to step back and go, okay, it's too soon. We don't know the facts. Let's not make a video about it. But when the mom came out and said it was a pack of pit bulls that did it, that's when you should have stopped completely.
Right. Wow. I mean, that kind of reminds me of. I'm going to tell you. I'll bring this up. I got some friends of mine. I don't know. They don't really associate with me. They don't reach out to me no more. They actually kind of shut me down. Even though they're friends of mine, they would use every possible content for views, and they would bring up videos, and they started using certain content and supporting it just to get their views because their YouTube channel exploded. They probably have well over 20,000 subscribers on their YouTube channel. When I started questioning some of the stuff, there's probably more than that by now. I haven't looked into it in a couple of years, but they're probably much larger than that. They make their money off of YouTube. But when I started pointing stuff out and presenting things and speaking up about it, my buddy's wife spoke up about it. She was like, why are you making such, the boys look bad, blah, blah, blah. I'm questioning it. I'm presenting it. It's like, I don't like that. Why are you trying to do that? We all want to make money, but you're doing about it the wrong ways, in my opinion. I was like, it offended me. It really did. It was offensive to me. And I'll say it. But, the North Carolina Squatch Watchers, I love them guys, but yet, why you got to present shit just to make views?
Right. And a lot of them do that. A lot of them will take anything and support it just to make the money.
Right. I mean, again, we all want to make money, but stop getting popularity over fake shit, and making something out more than what it really is,
Right.
But, I mean, I presented a few things. I'm doing YouTube video shorts and stuff, that's not, I've done the same thing they done, and, I got criticized for it. You're using someone else's content to get views, so I'm guilty of it because it's like, hey, I tried it for a short while to see what it did. It didn't get me nowhere, but they've been doing it enough to where all these gullible people will like, hey, they watch your shit and subscribe to them because that's their source of content.
Yeah,
But,
I mean that's why you got to be the honest guy. You got to be the one that does the actual research. You don't use lies to get views. You just you present the honest stuff to get the views. Either people will be interested or they won't. Simple as that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like my Facebook group, my main ECBR group. I could probably have over 20,000 subscribers, if not more. But over the years, I kept cleaning my content up. The people involved in that because either they were inactive or they were just bogus people that I didn't want presenting stupid shit.
There you go.
And it's the same thing with my YouTube subscribers. I just hit just a little over 3,900 subscribers for the first time. I mean, I've had my YouTube channel since 2013, 14, somewhere around there. And I should have way more than I have, but because I don't produce fake stuff, it seems like these fake YouTube channels that fake stuff that they want to promote hoaxers. Those all the fake channels get the more subscribers. Yeah. Over the years, I come to realize like I'd rather have quality over quantity. Same thing in my group.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not perfect, Ryan. I'm by far perfect on anything, but
sure,
so, but that's the way it goes. I mean, you have to take it take it the way it is, but it is what it is.
I'm very romantic about cryptozoology. I'm very attached to it and very fond of it. So when I see somebody making a mockery of it, I do take it very personal. I get very offended by it. So.
Oh, absolutely. I have stepped back to a certain extent. I mean, I don't comment as much, but sometimes when I see things that are very obvious that I know for a fact right off the top of my head that are fake, before I comment, I'll produce something. I'll add a comment or a picture or image or an article in there or whatever it might be to show, hey, this is what this is what you're sharing, but this is what it belongs to.
Right. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Look at the Bigfoot thumb or thumb or toe or whatever it came. That was going around. And I was like, okay. First of all, when I realized somebody else later on pointed out to me, read the name of the doctor's name in the article. If you read it backwards, it's Dr. Phony Baloney.
Wow.
So it took me a while to pick up on that, but somebody pointed out to me, read the doctor's name backwards. I said, what? So I read the article and I saw it mentioned a doctor's name that was putting it out there. Well, it was Dr. Phony Baloney. Now, if you spell the name backwards, that's what it pronounced or how it was pronounced. Yeah, Dr. Phony Baloney. But even apart from that, I was showing that, hey, okay, this fake Bigfoot thumb, look, you could buy these on Etsy or whatever. They were for sale. They were very common. You could buy them online. Some of them were being sold as keychains. So, but yeah, so there's all this bogus stuff that's going around. Like, I'll dig and look into everything as much as possible. If I could find something that discredits it, damn right, I'm going to post it.
There you go. That's what you should do.
Right. I mean, that's what everybody should do. Everybody should be willing. That's the thing. Question everything. Don't accept everything that's presented on social media. Because AI, as we talked about earlier, AI is destroying what we're doing.
Oh, yeah. AI is going to be the bane of it, man. The way that people are coming up with videos and everything, it's going to make it very, very difficult for all of us.
Absolutely. It's sad. It's very sad, but it's true. So
Yeah. Sadly, yeah.
Absolutely. So, tell you what, Ryan, we're coming to a close. Before we go any further, I wanted to give Melissa and David a chance. You guys have any other questions for Ryan before we jump off here?
Oh, I think he's muted.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't hear you guys. David and Melissa, you guys are quiet. I don't hear nothing. You guys might You might have to unmute yourself. Oh, they were muted. Yeah, I can't unmute your guest. mic isn't connected. Your mic is. I'm trying to unmute. It gives me the option to unmute you guys, but it says can't unmute your guest. The mic isn't connected. Oh, I don't know. That's weird.
Oh, your microphone's disconnected, guys.
Yeah, you might have to connect yourself. You guys are unconnected.
There you go. Nope.
No.
I hear some kind of feedback.
Yeah, I'm hearing it too.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
There you go. We got you. We got you.
I ain't touched that.
That's weird. Yeah, because I haven't been touching my device.
Yeah, no, me
My
neither.
house is haunted anyway. It's probably Henry that did it.
Yeah. Could have been.
So yeah, Dave and Melissa, do you guys have anything else you want to share or ask Ryan before we come to a close?
No, not at this time. Maybe we'll meet up again sometime.
Hopefully we
Absolutely.
will.
Oh, for sure. We definitely have to have Ryan back here. This has been a great discussion. We've been on here for
fun.
Well over 2 hours, we're approaching 3 hours. So this is
already
awesome.
time flew.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. How about you, Ryan? Is there anything you want to throw out there or share before we come to a close?
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody to be on the lookout for my Wendigo book. That's going to be published pretty soon. I'm hoping by the end of next month, with fingers crossed. And then after that, I'll have a Skinwalker book. Then following that is going to be the folklore of various indigenous tribes. So I'm going to have 3 books coming out this year. So be on the lookout for that.
Nice. Very nice. And tell everybody where they can find you and where will this content be found at.
Okay, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just look for Ryan Paul Tremblay. You'll see my name. It'll say the Wendigo guy. So if you want to just add me up and start up conversation, I'm always about the combo. I love talking to people. So yeah, hit me up and we can have some talks.
Sweet. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have Ryan back with us here in the near future. We're definitely going to have a talk. He is full of knowledge and has a lot of information. He knows his research very well. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we can't express enough how thankful we are for you tuning in and listening. If you're not a follower of ECBR Bigfoot Radio, we encourage you to do so now. There's some events we want to share with you before we go offline here. Ladies and gentlemen, keep it squatchy. Until next time, I'm your host, Daniel Benoit, and listen to our upcoming events. Hopefully, if you can't be there, plan ahead, and here we go. ECBRO, Bigfoot Radio fans, it's time to grab your pens, your calendars, and start writing down these dates for these upcoming events in the 2025 year. February 8th, the ECBRO is hosting a Bigfoot and Lunch gathering in Lexington, Virginia, happening at the legendary Eats Cafe. If you have a Bigfoot story, or if you're just a fan of Bigfoot and you want to learn what's going on with the ECBRO and find out who they are and what they do, this event's for you. It's a free event. The only thing that's going to cost you if you want to buy off the menu and enjoy a delicious meal while you sit among other researchers. All right, moving ahead, in the month of March 29th is the Penn, Ohio Paranormal Con, happening at the Tiffany Banquet Center in Brookfield, Ohio. Yes, that is also sponsored and hosted by Mr. Bill Rigby. All right, jumping ahead into the month of June. Boy, do we have some awesome stuff going on in June. Again, I hope you're marking this down, and I hope you prepare yourself to attend these events. June 6th, 7th, and 8th, happening in Marionville, Pennsylvania, the Forest County Bigfoot Festival. The event that's grown so huge, it's unbelievable. You're going to want to attend this event. Over 100 vendors, food trucks, and guest speakers. This event is something you want to attend. Not to mention, if you like to go squatching, there is the Allegheny National State Forest nearby. You're going to want to check that forest out. It's very squatchy. June 20th and 21st, happening in Wares Cave, Virginia, at the Wares Cave Community Center, is the annual ECBRO Virginia Bigfoot Conference. Yes, it's right there being held at the Community Center in Wares Cave, Virginia. both indoor and outdoor vendors, guest speakers, fun activity and contests for the kids. You're going to want to check this out. If you've never been to this event, it's very fun. You get to meet up with other like-minded people, get to go out and hang out with them in the evenings around a fire. If you get that special invite, you get to have a lot more. You're going to want to check that out and start becoming a part of that event, because that is not just an event. It's like a family gathering. That's June 20th and 21st. So feel free to check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys again for listening to ECBR Bigfoot Radio. I'm your host, Daniel Benoit, and I want to thank Ryan Tremblay for being our guest tonight. And we had a great discussion. We're going to be back very soon. Follow us for upcoming content over the next day or two. There'll be more content being produced. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys again. David and Melissa, Ryan, thank you guys again for being here. And we'll be, absolutely. We'll be together here in the near future. And there's so much more we can talk about and discuss. I mean, I don't think there's a limit on what we can discuss on this stuff here. So
we will see you Saturday morning.
Sounds good. We're looking forward to it. So you guys keep it squatchy. Until next time, guys. We're out.
Have a good one, guys.